Welcome to the SNR Podcast, where freedom for the mind, body, and soul takes center stage. We're here to break down the system, expose the truth, and inspire real change. From the state-national movement to uncovering how the government's just a corporation, to diving deep into the Federal Reserve's hold over the world, we're here to give it to you straight. But it's not just about exposing corruption. We're also bringing you the tools to heal with meditation, breath work, and natural healing practices that help elevate your life. We're loud, we're edgy, and yeah, we're funny as hell. Steve's got jokes, Kenny's got the research, and Ashley's keeping us organized, while Gwen's here to inspire both the young and the wise. This is the SNR Podcast.
Cheaper than the other setup. The other setup was a lot more advanced piece of shit.
Yeah, the more complicated you make it, the worse it gets, honestly, especially in today's world. Like 20 years ago, you had to have all that shit to do a podcast. You know what I mean?
It's good. It makes it simple.
Well, here we go, guys. Long time coming. My people started asking me questions like, "What the hell happened to that show? You said what's going on?" I've been looking everywhere. People are digging through the internet, digging through the the fucking dark web, trying to find the fucking show. You know what I mean?
I know. I got emails about it too.
Not me. I don't think anybody
cares
about me.
I mean, I think it's fine.
Okay. Well, I just didn't know because there was like kind of dark on one side.
It's kind of dark.
Be dark on one side.
It's going to be that way.
She looks quite angelic, like Jesus is kind of honing in on her right side.
Move the camera, the computer.
Divine light.
Because Kenny said that I need to show the purple fireplace and the green wall and the pink wall.
Oh, that is green
I
back
think
there.
it's less important. I think it's more important for your face to be lit up.
Girls.
It's not bad. I mean, I think audio is really what matters.
For girls, it's their face.
As long as the audio.
No, boys only care about the audio.
We're not very photogenic.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think boys, the audio, if we could just mute the audio, I think we're visual 100%.
And I don't know how.
So I looked fine. I sound fine. And the purple fireplace looks great.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, dude.
Is it purple or mauve?
No, it's like
baby.
The whole house is painted like that, by the way. It's like got 8 damn bedrooms here.
Damn, that's pretty sick.
What do you
know?
How
much guess how much it costs? You'll never guess the cost.
You're in Mexico, right?
In Mexico,
8 bedrooms.
8 bedrooms and has 2 terraces.
Probably
it
like
has
fucking $900
big
a month or
backyard.
something.
A bag of rice and 2 burros.
$600. That's it.
One goat.
$600.
Yeah, it's like $630. It's 12,000 pesos right now. With the dollar actually going up, it's actually gotten cheaper. But we do it to save money for the ministry because we're trying to build a on-site healing location.
We are building.
We are. But that's why we're here.
Of.
Yeah, that's
Use
why
proper
we're
English. We is.
No.
Use some of that Southside Chicago English.
We're doing it.
We lived in Hawaii and we decided, like, let's give up all this. Let's go somewhere cheap and let's do something bigger than what we're already doing. And that's why we're here. Because it is a completely, like, shell shock to go from there to here. You feel it. You know how they talk about when you get to Hawaii, how you feel that vibration, that frequency? I'm telling you, you don't feel it till you leave. And then you get back to wherever you came from and you're like, oh, this sucks. And you don't know what it is. I swear, I was like, wow, I didn't feel it when I got there, but I definitely felt it when I left. And when we came back to Texas, I was like, oh, it's like a drop. Everyone's, I don't know if it's the chemtrails are thicker here or what. But I know, you know what? As a matter of fact, in Texas, dude, you can't even see the sky or the stars at night. But over here in Mexico, you can, which is crazy because we're only an hour from where, where you cross over into Eagle Pass. And you can't see shit over there. The sky's literally like a hazy white. And they just...
If that, it's like 40 minutes. It's not even the full hour.
Yeah. Well,
we get a lot of chemtrails out here in California, but you can still see the sky and stuff.
That's weird. It's a red state. I'm surprised they do that.
Yeah.
They do it in all the states. That's just a joke. They're like, shock. I feel like it's like, what's his name? Like Dave Chappelle. Psych. Like,
gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch.
Because that's how it really is.
I was just telling Kenny and my mom that for my lawsuit that I'm about to send out for the cops, you know, those musical greeting cards, how funny
Yes.
it would be to put one of the musical chips inside the envelope for them to receive their lawsuit in. So when they
There you go.
open their lawsuit, they're hit with a gotcha bitch right off the bat.
No, give them one of those cards where when they open it, the glitter explodes and then it turns on like music and they can't turn it off and they're like tearing the card apart trying to destroy the sound.
Like on Trolls, the Trolls kids movie, they do that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We need to invent that.
Okay, so
you
we
have a
an
lawsuit
outline.
to send to a government official. We have your back.
We have the audio card for you.
Yeah, we don't have an outline. We decided just to freeball it, everybody. We figured with the Picklitarian in here, might as well. It's the
With
only
his
way to do it.
excellency, look, y'all, with his excellency.
I didn't even see that.
What's going on?
King Pickle fuck His Excellency. I just saw you added His Excellency.
All right, I just added that. I added that in there. So I'm a bit curious on your guys' platform. I'm a bit curious on what kind of growth you guys have seen, what kind of changes you guys have seen, how many people are coming on board, what do you guys do, what's your membership?
Oh, I did look it
I'm
up.
kind of curious about all of that, and I think a lot of other people are too. Like, what's happening with our movement? Like, what's the growth and what's kind of the news stories behind all of that?
I could tell you it was growing really fast, but we just received a 10-year temporary ban from TikTok. And that temporary is for real because now I have like 9 followers and I get about 10 views a video. And
Well, I think he was saying like that's to talk about for the episode, not for you to answer it right now.
Okay.
Oh, but
No, I'm cool with it. I kind of
question.
wanted to hear it right now. Actually, I mean,
Yeah.
started
Well,
off right with that. So
yeah, that's what just happened. So we're like turned off, and that was our main. That's mainly where we got seen was TikTok, and we had a lot of
Our
accounts.
hashtag when it was growing, we were at 50 million views.
Oh my lord!
Yeah,
and that was like it's been shut off for almost a year. No, it's almost a year.
Jesus.
Because we hired a professional marketing company and our partner that does all of our web stuff and helps us like with our books, and she does like all the stuff we don't do basically. She has like a lot more resources for people that she knows, and she got us connected with this guy who does marketing, but his accounts are minimum $5,000 a month, and we were like not spending that much, so she gets him to like work for us for like nothing. And because they're friends, and he couldn't even do nothing for us because every account that he built, anything that had to do with us, they kept shadowing it. They give it no views. So for the last year, he's been trying to like even just get us an account that's not even affiliated with us to reroute it to us.
To make a new account so he could build it, and it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we told him for what we paid him, can you just write an affidavit? Because what we had to do, because we're an association can't sue unless you have a bar card holder.
Because we're a ministry.
Oh, yeah.
So what we did is our partner has a constitutional.
You can sue in your own name.
Yeah, but since it's the ministry name, so she was like, "No, my friend's badass. She's really good, and she can help y'all. She stands up." So I didn't know how far the rabbit hole went for lawyers that stood up and helped us, but she made us sign our names in red and put a thumbprint. Like I was like, "This lawyer's
reservation of rights." UCC,
yeah, and that was like our contract, and so I told her, "Hey, can I show people this?" And she goes, "Yeah, you can show people this. Just take out my information." So I said attorney, and she corrected me and said, "Look, I want to let you know that attorneys typically work for the corporation, the betterment of the corporation. And if you can find yourself a good constitutional lawyer that will help you, they typically work for the people." So there is a difference. And it seemed like she was aware of the corruption of the system and trying to actually help, even though the system is, it is what it is. But once you realize it, what can you do? You just go live in the woods. So it seems like this lady is trying to put up a fight and help people like us. So she's the one who's suing TikTok for us. So we're going to sue TikTok. We've been stacking. I'm completely turned off. I literally can't do anything with TikTok anymore.
What
We're
word
done.
did she want you to use instead of attorney?
She said lawyer. She said constitutional lawyer was.
It's
what
actually the
called.
opposite. But anyways,
That's what she said.
if you look in the dictionary under lawyer, it literally says attorney at law. So attorney at law is the one that works for the corporation. Attorney in fact is a private attorney that has nothing to do with that. So
I think that's what
when
she
you say
said. I think
lawyer,
Kenny has it backwards.
I think give it backwards because attorney could be attorney at law or attorney in fact, but the word lawyer legally basically only means attorney at law.
It could be. She totally could have said it backwards, and I just remember it that way.
Maybe she said it backwards.
Well,
But
like-
somebody
I
said
know.
it
I was like,
backwards.
it's not Kenny. Kenny didn't remember it
Or
backwards.
Yeah, definitely not him.
Or
She
I
said
remember
it
it backwards.
And I remember what she said.
That bitch.
It's probably me. It happens, man.
He's hit his head really hard many times.
Oh, damn.
Every door frame he walks into.
So you guys had 50 million like total views on TikTok, or 50 million a month, or how does that even work?
It just what it is.
The
there's like
hashtag.
when you create the hashtag, if you continually use it, you'll see how many people view it. And so I created the hashtag State Nationals Rock, and it actually got up to like 54 point something million, and then it got turned off. So it was at 54 million.
I actually have the answer to a question that Brandon hasn't asked today, but he asked the last time we tried to record. For the amount of people that are on our website, we have almost 20,000 members.
Per like coming on per month, or like members meeting like
In total,
pages?
all of the
in
members
total.
total.
And those are just free members, because our goal is to get people to want to learn and really to be able to litigate. So kind of what you're doing and how you show people how to litigate, we're also inspired with that direction, because we feel like if people know simple litigation combined with constitutional rights, then we could restore the republic. Because if someone just sells you some paperwork and you don't know what the hell's going on, well, you just screwed you, and the guy screwed you too. It's like nobody's helping anybody by doing that. The goal is to have a well-educated population. So litigation, we realize, like, is a key component, because then it kind of makes sense on everything we're doing and how we claim the nationality and why we do it, to be able to stand up.
Also, TikTok has wiped us out. We've had over 20 something accounts. This last time they did it a year ago isn't the first time. They did it a year before that as well.
They did it twice.
So they've never let us to continue to build. Otherwise, all those numbers would be
We'd probably have a lot bigger numbers, to be honest. Yeah, they wiped out 11 accounts the first time, because what happened is they give me like 2 strikes, and I would get fearful of them removing the account, because the next strike they pull your account. Well, they're doing weird ass shit with me, letting me get like 15 strikes towards the end, because towards the end I just started saying like, fuck it, I'm just gonna like keep going. And they'll literally like let me get all these flags, and then all of a sudden they would ban that account. But what they finally did, I made a video about the CIA, and that one video, they within a minute of posting it, all 11 of my accounts went down. Even Gwen's accounts went down.
Our quantum healing.
Yeah, even we have
All
a
of my
supplement
state
line.
national ones too. They all went down.
Everything went down because of that one video. And then so we built it up another year, and then they struck them down again, and it was like 10 accounts on the second round. So that's how we got. But I would get the accounts up to like 200,000, 150,000, 95,000, and I would get them pretty big. And once they put enough strikes on it, I would just leave it alone, because I wanted the videos to stay up. That's what I cared about, the information. Because the information would come as I would be learning and doing different things, and I would remember something and I would cross-check it, and I would kind of find pieces that were like very intriguing. So I'd make this inspirational video, and I would be inspired. So I was like, I don't want this to go away. I want people to see it, you know? So I was like, fuck this. I'm not posting on there anymore. I'll just let that account go. And it's really hard. You have an account you built up to 150,000 people, and then you just like stop posting on it and you start again at 0. But I just kept doing it. And I knew,
And
like,
we done it 20 times.
I did it 20 times. Yeah, but we all knew when we got into this, it wasn't easy. To get us to be able to give up our lives to do this wasn't easy. We all kind of took a lot of different hits from different angles, from our son being hit with the way the government works for the childhood to like the IRS being corrupt, overcharging us and cheating us out of, a whole year's wage just because they could. And we could explain all that, but they literally stole a whole year from us, and it wasn't right. But they could
did nothing.
and they could though. They're like, but you can't do nothing about it. So that was another thing. Then the lockdowns, and it was a buildup of shit that they kept doing.
When was this?
Everybody.
What year was this?
Well, the first start was like in 2012 is when it first happened. And then it went all the way.
Shit for a long time. I didn't realize that.
Not actually this. We just,
I think we got audited in 2014 or 15, and it was for 2012 and 2013.
That's what okay. So I
it was
went
like
a couple years older.
After, yeah. But that was the year for the audit, what you said.
Yeah. But that just really shows like how much we've learned, because that's a violation that happened and we didn't stand up when that happened to us. It took years later for us to finally even know what to do in that situation.
You know what I did when we got audited by the IRS? I cried every day for 30 days. I was going to say, I cried every day for 30 days.
It was the most stressful bullshit ever. And
where you guys audited, was your name in all capital letters as a sole proprietorship? Is that the person they were auditing, or who was the person they were auditing? Was it a corporation or was it?
No, we were just a DBA, a small little. We were in a salon suite still. It was just like me working and Kenny working
separate,
and it was
so it was a sole proprietorship with a DBA attached to it, basically.
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah.
So when you have just a little side point, this is a huge research rabbit hole that I'm doing right now. If you're being audited as a sole proprietorship, you can tell them no as per the Fifth Amendment. And there's actually literally case law on this. You can find it if you go to Google Scholar and type in sole proprietorship and then type in Fifth Amendment. You'll actually find appeals cases and I think even Supreme Court cases where they do say that the Fifth Amendment applies in a sole proprietorship situation. So you can't be audited. You cannot be audited.
That's really cool. People don't realize what that is. It's because whenever you do say yes, you waive your Fifth Amendment right and you give up information. So if you decide, say like, no, I don't want to submit, then you retain your Fifth Amendment, because anything you say will be used against you in tax court. Yeah. So you have the right to not self-incriminate with the Fifth Amendment as a sole proprietor. That's what he's saying, everybody. So in case you're really wondering. Cool.
And if you look up the definition of a United States court, it says right in the definition does not include tax courts.
Oh my gosh.
Tax courts are not courts of the United States. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole you can go down too.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the stuff you post. We see your stuff. We're always like, oh, this is cool. That's pretty awesome. Good one.
Yeah.
It was crazy because like
a corporation doesn't have that Fifth Amendment right though. Like if they like a DBA is really not a separate entity. It's just a name, a trade name connected to the sole proprietorship. So you would still have the Fifth Amendment. But let's say, for example, your association, which is a separate legal entity, was audited. That association would not have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. There's literally case law on this where they talk about all of this in great detail.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I like it. Good information. I hope everybody, if you're listening, I hope you took that little golden nugget and saved it.
Well, did we start? Yeah, we need to start
I think that we're started, right?
We haven't done any intros. We haven't done nothing.
Yeah, I've been recording.
Intro.
I've been recording for like 17 minutes.
We're already halfway through the podcast. What are y'all talking about, girls?
Well, this would be a good time for an intro. That's like the pre-intro.
Pre-intro. Run it. SNR podcast.
Okay, so we're gonna take a little bit of a step back now, and we're gonna do some introductions. Okay. Welcome to the State Nationals Rock / King Pickle Fuck Excellency podcast. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Pfizer. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Way to stir the pot, Steve.
So if everyone in the audience wants to look under your seat, there's a free underneath the seat waiting for you.
There you go.
I'm giving out recyclable condoms. I got them from my uncle.
Hey, now we're talking.
Yeah, the dishwasher safe. Don't worry about it. So I am the co-host. What is my title? Lead educator. I need a cool. I got Kenny's the coolest.
You're the hostess with the mostest. What are you talking about?
I'm the hostess with the mostest bad jokes. I'm also.
You should do like badass Barty. You should be like.
Yeah, I got to change something. Steve, you know what? They used to call me Steve the Party Barty, but those were in my Coke days in the 60s.
Barty's,
there you go.
Barty. Beaven Starty.
You want to change my name to Beaven Starty?
No, if it was back in your Coke days, you should do Steve Snow Princess Barty. That should be your name.
Steve the Schnoz.
We don't need any
machine.
snow princesses behind my freaking.
And it's just like the old mafia names where it's like
Steve
and then Snow Princess in the middle and then Barty.
The Calamari King Barty. So now that I have 42 nicknames, none of them make sense.
Except Snow Princess. That one makes
Snow
perfect sense.
Snow Princess.
Gwen changed.
You don't
from
want to
princess
know.
No. How about retired?
Yeah, because
Snow
I can't be
Princess?
having Snow Princess out there with right next to my princess. So I
I-
changed mine.
I just want to
Boss
clarify
of
something.
the coolest and princess.
Boss of the coolest. The reason I
So
no
we got
longer
Queen 1 and Queen 2.
Queen being
Gwen.
Kenny, you should change from coolest to just put
Kenny should be Queef.
Big Papa Pump.
Queef?
Did you say queef?
Ours is Queen.
This just went
I don't
sideways
think Gwen
real
knows
quick.
what a queef is.
I do.
She just did one.
A pussy fart.
That was my nickname in college, Pussy Fart.
Hey, there you go. There you
All
go.
right, Gwen. Okay.
That was very popular on
No
campus.
sharding on camera, guys.
Steve Barty the
Parting?
Shardy.
No parting.
Steve Barty, the Shardy. There we go.
Okay, continue, Steve. Don't let Gwen talk no more. Override her.
Okay, so we have Queen Laquifa, we have Kenny, we have Ashley. We have old Pudding
Continue.
Crotch.
Fucking hilarious.
Did you say Queen Laquifa?
Queen Laquifa, a.k.a. Pudding Crotch.
Well, this is a great
God.
intro.
We're here to teach you about freedom.
We have Snow Princess and Queefs.
By the way, I'll have you all know the reason I can't do cocaine anymore is because my nose is so big. I snorted the $100 bill up there once, and it's still up there. So
There you go.
It's a health hazard for
Kenny
me.
needs to get in there, Dr. Kenny, and pull it out.
Yeah.
Retired
Needs-
Snow Princess.
Get some real fucking long tweezers to get inside of my nose. I could smoke a cigarette in the rain and never gets wet. All right, enough. All right,
Saying enough to your own jokes.
I know I'm cutting myself off. I don't. Look, I was quiet for the last 17 minutes. Like
you
I
said
have.
the last word, and then you said enough.
I'm like that dog that you yell at for barking, and then as soon as you say stop, it barks one more time. That's kind of what I am.
All right.
So, all right. Now that we have Steve, the Snow Princess, Kenny as the coolest founder of State Nationals Rock, we have the Queen of SNR, Gwendolyn, boss of the coolest queen, SNR Ashley, and
No, the
Brandon
coolest
Joe
and
Williams, who's going to have to, Brandon, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go to some type of confession or like religious cleansing after this because it's only going to go downhill from here.
Hey,
And-
I'm ready. Confession. Let's go.
Okay, let me go get my
They
robe.
have a new AI that's giving out confessions. I don't know if y'all heard about that. I think
No.
it's in like Ireland.
That's 11
did
Hail
they-
Marys.
Switzerland. Yeah, it's Switzerland. They're giving
Yeah,
out.
didn't they
You
do
can
like
go-
an AI Jesus or something?
I don't know, but there's
They
an
probably got
AI
like
that you
sex
can go.
robots coming.
I saw a little robot steal 12 robots.
Did you say sex robots coming? Was that like a pun, or do you mean like they're headed this way?
I think he said
Headed
the
this
number 6.
What
but I
would
don't
a
know.
sex robot come?
Hydraulic fluid. We got a squirter.
Busted
Oh
a
my
tube.
God.
It's not printer ink.
Hydraulic fluid. It's like a busted car jack. Yeah, it's pretty
Mhm.
good.
We're gonna teach you how to.
So I heard you like to ride bikes, Joe. I actually really like bikes. I have a problem. I was banned from driving, Brandon, for a whole year because I had this problem of riding 1,000cc liter crotch rockets, and I didn't wait for anything. I didn't wait at stoplights, stop signs. Like there was just for what you
On
go
a
to the
1,000
front.
He
CC
drives like he
motorcycle,
has
you're
9
just-
extra
yeah.
lives.
Yeah,
I used to do the same thing, and then I got in an accident, and then I didn't ride for a while, and then now I got a 1,200cc bike. It's a rocket ship, but I think most people would think that I drive still like a psychopath, but it's like a fourth of what I used to. I used to
I know
literally.
I know what you mean.
When you say psychopath, you yell at yourself like inside of your helmet and just flail your arms around while you're riding, or you just drive aggressively.
Both.
Both. Well, when you do something
Back
really
in the
cool,
day, I had an R6, and I used to go into Hollywood from Sunland. I was living in Sunland. And you go down the 2 South, and it's this big, huge, beautiful, clean, open freeway. You guys don't know it, and it's downhill, so you're going like down into Hollywood. And I used to hit like 167.
Piles of human shit on the road, or 167 miles per hour.
167 miles an hour.
Okay,
It's
so
not
we're all talking
San
about
Francisco.
California.
That was fun. Right around 155 miles an hour, there's something that happens. It's like a spiritual experience where like everything slows down. It's like the fucking Matrix. It's crazy as fuck.
You know who just did a podcast about this? Josh Brolin was on Joe Rogan recently, and Josh Brolin was talking about that state you hit as you progress from 35 to 45. He went into this whole a tirade about it, but it's actually the way he said it. I'm not a motorcycle guy, I never have been, but the way he went into it, he said it's like it's almost like it's like an out of body experience once you hit like a certain mph, hitting the curves. And he's actually talking about the guy who wrote the book, the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I can't remember the guy's name who it was based on, but they were talking about him. But yeah, you would find, as a motorcycle guy, both you guys should look up Josh Brolin, Joe Rogan, motorcycle. It was I'm not a motorcycle guy, but it was very interesting to listen to.
It
but
sounds
I do
like
love
y'all all have the cat parasite.
Toxoplasma gondii. That's the cat parasite name.
Well, Kenny, why don't you tell Brandon about your motorcycle?
You're naughty.
Stuff.
You're naughty. See, the thing is, Kenny got into an accident and then still ride naughty.
I was riding with the brace on my leg. I was stuck
when
in
I
the
met
hospital.
him, the night I met him.
I was stuck in the hospital for 90 days and they kicked me out. They're like, you got to go. But I broke 30 bones and I compounded my femur and my tibia. So
and you were going, what, like 200 miles an hour?
No, I was on Gixxer 1000, and what happened was the bike topped out at 186 and it stops. But what we figured out later on is that I saw one with the turbo on it, and when I saw him doing his dyno, and it went all the way up to 186, it pinned there, but his RPMs kept going. So I realized, look, it goes faster than 186, but for some reason they stopped the speedometer on that particular. It's a 0708 Gixxer 1000, has like that boost of headlight. It's kind of ugly, but it drives really well. And I hated the bike. I had all the different bikes. I had every liter bike, like just the basics though. I didn't really get too much into Ducatis or Beamers, but I did, when I met Ashley, I ended up getting the S1000RR and I liked it. It was pretty cool. But I actually liked my Gixxers better. But I had all of them. When I met Ashley, I had 4 crotch rockets, and I was serious. And she comes in my house, and she's like, "You keep the bikes inside?" I was like, "Where else?
They're gonna get cold. What are you gonna do?
Put them at? Put them outside?
He's
like,
gonna
who
put a
does
blankie
that?
over them every night to make sure they don't get cold.
Yeah, so
that's those on Instagram, guys sleeping with their bikes, and they get the blankie, and they're like, "Kyla, that shit's so funny."
I really had a thing for bikes, and it took me years to get away from it. But I eventually did. I was pretty reckless, and I did I had a real issue with it. And my best friend did pass away on a bike in front of me, and I still didn't learn my lesson. It broke, everything breaks your heart, and you still can't learn. You realize you might have a parasite. So we looked into it, and we created a detox. And yeah, I was pretty wild. I don't like to tell stories, but it lasted for quite a long time. And I'm good at riding bikes, and I like
over 20 years.
Yeah, I could peel out on leans and skid it sideways. I would do ridiculous stuff. I would ride backpeg wheelies for long periods of time. I would just do whatever I wanted. I would take this. I would be break the matrix. That's what I would call it. And I'd go get on my bike, and whoever was there, as long as I didn't cause no harm, was my goal. But that's kind of like how I lived before I started to do all this stuff that we do now. And I gave all that up. I didn't even have Corvettes. Like what I did is I transitioned into Corvettes and fast cars to kind of get away from the motorcycles because of the younger recklessness I carried. And then it still, carried a little bit, but eventually it went away because of my son. And he actually liked Corvettes. The car would be camming, and he'd be like, "Come on, let's go." And he'd take me to the car. And he couldn't speak, but he knew. He'd grab my hand and he'd take me to the door. And I was like, what does he want to do? He takes me to the car, and I'd be like, "You want to go drive in the Corvette?" I was like, yes. And then we'd go ride around. And that's kind of how it calmed down. It took years. It was like God was there with her hands, like, calm this ding dong down. And eventually it worked, because I don't have bikes anymore, but I do want to build like a I don't know if you've seen these. They look like little... I want to fly in the sky. It's the next thing. What else can I do for that's, So they have these little go-karts, and they literally are like fixed wings, and they fly. And I was like, why not?
What's next? Motorcycles. We gotta ride bikes in the sky now. There ain't no fucking there ain't no roads in the sky.
Yeah, that's what I want to do next. But yeah, I rode bikes forever. I liked it. It was cool. And Ashley hated it. She knew every time when I got to work and the bike went behind the building, she's like, she'd look at me sideways and be like, why didn't you park in the front? But I don't want to say it in front of the clients. So I'm just going to look at you sideways like
I
this.
said many things in front of the clients. I'd be like, what the fuck did you do? What did you do now?
I don't know. I didn't stop. Why would happen?
You can't take it that of what you can't catch. You know what I'm saying?
What license plates?
I just saw this video of a slow ass car pulling out this big ass flashlight and sticking it out the window and blinding the cops.
We all saw that Prius video. That can't be real. It was a Prius. I was like,
1,000 lumen.
This can't
flashlight.
be real. I was like, this is fake. Like, it can't be real. Because how could he just lose him? It was a Prius. I was like, you're not, unless you have like has a motor swap.
Exited or something.
Well, wouldn't you see the light?
Fun.
There's something up with that, because then when the light turns off, it's like he's gone. I was like, hey, that's a trick. That's a Prius. I already knew someone's lying because it was a Prius. See, Gwen's over here like, I saw this video, and I was like, it's a Prius. I was, sorry. Unless they swapped it with like a Lamborghini motor, it's not going anywhere. They're not designed for that. They look like a little egg, and their motor is... They're just... I'm sorry. I drive fast cars. The last fast car I had shot blue flames, and it had full methanol injection, second gas tank in the back. I sold it to a youngster. His dad owned a towing truck company. Then I found him on Instagram, switching gears, blowing blue fire out. And I was like, look, there's my car. I felt bad that he was young, but I was like, his dad bought
I took
it for
a
him.
piss once and blue flames came out. Is that the same thing?
When you have methanol injection, blue flames really come
Did
out.
you drink
For people who drive fast know what's up.
I mean, I used to spend a lot of time in Porta Johns, but I mean, I never put two and two together.
Maybe you're drinking methanol. Actually, methanol is windshield washer fluid. So if you're drinking that could be the cause of it. I'm just saying. I
threatened
know
me with
that
a good
'cause
time.
That's how we would get the poor man's methanol. We get like washer fluid with a certain percentage and then pour it in there.
All right, so I motion that we talk about something.
Something not with guys and cars and bikes.
No, just moving along. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, I actually, I'm kind of curious.
Court.
I want to hear Brandon's story. So I'm somewhat embarrassed to say this. Like throughout the years that I've kind of gone down this, and I hate even calling it a rabbit hole, but my awakening, I'll call it that. I'm kind of embarrassed that like I never came across your material anywhere.
My shit's like brand new, bro. I'm like the newest guy on the scene, and I've like
are you really?
I've like blasted into the front of the group. Like people kind of know me now more popular than almost anybody. Like for example, Yusuf L has been doing this shit for like 10, 12 years. It sounds like Kenny, you've kind of been when did you kind of start this? Like 2015?
No, that's just like the learning of us hearing and knowing to do something. We didn't actually start doing something until Ashley knows the year. It was much more recent. Like from so what we did is to transition, like where we really when we really started, we got our favorite employee and we gave her our business, and then we went full time to just doing this. She took over the salon. She took over everything with it, which was.
It was number one salon. It wasn't.
It was
like
it was 14.
Salon.
It was 14 years of our life of paying for SEO, blogging, everything that it took to get it successfully running on
First page. Yeah.
How many years of
we gave that away,
free?
and we changed. What year was that, Ashley? That we gave it to her, and we literally 2022. So see, it's not that long. That's full time.
I read my first book on the subject of any of this. Which I think was Disclosure 101 from Anna von Reitz in September of 2021.
What do you think about Anna?
Well, I don't like to say bad things about people.
Good. I used to.
But
it's good you don't.
Most pickle fucks don't, but
I was introduced to this entire thing by a woman named Nancy Kramer, who was working with Anna von Reitz, and she was running the California Assembly in Studio City. Okay. And then there was a very explosive, terrible situation that had happened between those two. And I think Nancy is one of the most wonderful people in the world. So that whole situation kind of left a bad taste in my mouth as regards to her. But on the other side of the coin, her books are fantastic. So,
I agree.
So I love her books, and I think she's a great person. Would I ever work with her after the things I've seen and heard and actually kind of not quite personally experienced in the actual driver's seat, but like one step removed from that had witnessed, not going to be something I'm going to be involving myself in. So that's
cool.
I feel
That's
like
very
everybody
honest.
has like, I feel like all of us have like one specialty that we kind of gravitate towards, like one part of this process that
I
we
think
all.
you grab all parts, Steve.
I'll grab anything you put in front of me. It's why I'm not allowed at playgrounds. That's a whole nother podcast.
Sorry.
Oh, by the way,
you were so sincere. I was like, I'm gonna hit him with this fucked up comment.
by the way,
now.
I'm gonna need you all to sign a waiver before we end this show. You're all guilty by
NDA.
association. Yeah, it's not an NDA. My parole officer will explain it, but he'll be on the show later.
there we go.
Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
So no. So Brandon, what would be the one thing that you gravitated towards? Like I feared the IRS piece the most. And as somebody, like I said, I'm not one of the founders of SNR, but so me, like 2021, I think it was like January of 2021 is when I really kind of like jumped into the deep end of the pool with this. So I wanted to really immerse myself in the IRS piece because, working
Piece?
for, well, like
as in penis.
yes, piece of deal. So I
When you're
wanted
saying
to
IRS
Italian
piece,
for
I
penis.
was like, damn, Steve, you just keep jamming out these jokes. I was like, all right.
I'll jam all
How
kinds
does
of things.
Kenny even know that though?
What did he say? I said piece of deal.
So I had the employment development department coming after a landscaping company that I had just taken over. It was an old company from like mid 70s or early 70s. And it was my buddy's mom and dad's company that they had since like the early 70s. And his mom was basically passing away, and then she passed away shortly after. And the dad didn't want to do the company anymore, and he was just going to give, like what you said, he was just going to give the company to the workers, basically. There was not much there, but I saw it as a gold mine because it's over 40 years of customers.
It's a hell of a book of business, yeah.
It's a huge book of business. So I said, fuck it. My closest friend at that time named Cody, he had already walked away from another landscaping business, and he was a designer and a salesperson, and he designed and sold and still does for my business, which I'm not part of anymore. I stepped away a few months ago. But so when the EDD came around and basically trespassed on one of our properties and started interrogating one of my, at that time, I guess you'd call him an employee. And then what happened is they sent me this huge bill. I didn't know what to do. I was totally freaking out. Kind of similar to like an IRS situation, obviously, right?
What is the EDD for those? Like, I know again, I don't really know, but just
the Employment Development Department. It's like the payroll mafia of California.
Okay, all right.
So payroll related taxes or payments or non-payments or whatever you want to call it, right? So that's kind of what started the whole thing. Nancy Kramer was actually a client of mine at a dental office, which I can't talk too much about because of like HIPAA and all that. I want to be, kind and make sure I don't get into that any farther than that. But she was had some association with the dental office, and she was trying to tell me about all this stuff for like 2 years. She'd come in every 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and she'd just kind of mention things and
to get her mouth warts removed. I get it.
No. And I'd be like,
Steve.
no, I don't, it's not really, it just kind of terrified me. I didn't really see any point of like going down that path. And then once the EDD came around and sent me threatening letters and $60,000 bills and all this goofiness, that's when I called her and I was like, hey, all that crazy ass shit you've been talking about for 2 years.
I need you.
Can you tell me about that? And she's like, oh yeah, and she scheduled a time the next day for me to come with my, at that time, business partner. And he was really excited about it, and I was terrified. I was so fucking scared of the whole process and everything that she was doing, and the 928s and the whatever Anna von Reitz paperwork and all that.
That's who I started with as well, by the way. So Anna von Reitz, that was one of where I began this process.
I think we all did. We all like found her books, and that's like a part of everybody's journey. But it's also the same thing you figured out is the same thing a part of everybody's journey too. Because eventually you figure it out, and it goes for all of them. You'll eventually see how people are by
I want to hear
things they do.
Brandon's story.
Keep going, Brandon. Sorry about that. My boss said.
I'm
boss
like
said
into
But no,
See
it's true.
that
I
boss
think
of the
a lot of
coolest.
people. It seems like, especially over the past few years, I'd say everybody involved in this, which is an important thing to say on the positive end. We have said some negative things. Is either Anna von Reitz or David Straight. Honestly, let's be honest, right? That's pretty much. And if it wasn't for those two individual people, who knows if a lot of what's going on would even be here. So
That's true.
on a positive end, we have negative things, we have positive things. I'm sure everybody kind of has both.
That's
Welcome
People say
to
the negative
duality.
thing about my platform is that I curse like a fucking madman and I'm saying all this crazy ass shit, and like no one can introduce their grandma or their parents or anybody who's Christian and blah blah blah. So I hear that kind of shit all the time. Or kids, I can't show my kids this. So there's pros and cons to everybody's shit. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
So I did all the paperwork, I did all that kind of stuff, and then I was still doing a lot of research, and then I started reading a lot of books because you couldn't find anything online in 2021. It was just like old men screaming that had websites from like 1994, and none of it made any sense, right?
Yeah.
So sadly, they're trying. It's not like they're like bad people. It's just like, who wants to read this shit? This is crap,
Yeah.
It's unreadable, basically, right?
Yes.
So, or you go
the
like
chaos
Patrick
scares you
Devine,
away.
or you go to like Patrick Devine, and it's like you're as much as he was trying to help people, it's like he has no, like, it's all level 100 complexity and difficulty. It's like there's no way for a new person to enter in on the Patrick Devine level, because you have to enter in on the 100th floor or die. It's like Patrick Devine stuff is like for the advanced people. But then everybody was like, well, how the fuck do I get to the advanced level? And it's like, I don't know. Fuck you. It's like, okay, what do I do? You know what I mean? So it's like, the top, I feel like the top of the food chain was like Patrick Devine, right? And then there was just like no elevator to get up there. And then people like me and people like you guys, we're sort of like that ground floor, I feel like, more than anybody. And then you have guys like James C. Lovett, who he didn't have a huge platform. It doesn't seem like. I don't think I've ever met anybody who because he was one of the first guys that I got introduced to too, right? And he has tons of information, lower level, medium level, advanced level.
Yeah, he does.
All sorts of nationality, all sorts of citizenship, all sorts of taxation, negotiable instruments, passports. He's got low level, medium level, upper level. It's just kind of like all over the place. But he has kind of like everything. And I really got into his stuff a lot on the front end. But really my beginning was just reading books. So like anything I could find on Amazon on any subject about any of this, I was basically just ordering books, right? And then I was watching Christopher Hauser videos, started coming out right around that same time period, literally. Right. He just started making videos right when I started studying this stuff. So I was reading books, Christopher Hauser, reading books, James C. Lovett, reading books, Christopher Hauser, reading books, James C. Lovett, some David Straight, whatever. I just kind of everybody and everything, right?
Sure.
And then by March of 2022, March 14th, is when I launched the very, very first version of onestupidfuck.com, which was just text. There was no audio visual of anything. It was just, it was like the old man with the 1994 website. It's just all text, but it was a modern looking website and like just like a
modern information, probably
modern somewhat. Yeah. And then like with all the crazy, goofy, one stupid fuck cursing and all the goofiness. So it's basically like a young, like vulgar version of like a 1994 90-year-old screaming about, nationality on the internet.
I want to point something out real quick. I'm looking at your website right now, and you described my grandmother perfectly. A horny, worthless, racist bastard looking for the next victim.
Yeah, that's on the front page.
I'd like to put that on my grandmother's headstone. But, no, please continue.
Please continue. Okay.
Then in March, people were like, oh, we want like video, audio, visual. We want like audio, visual. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, if you're not willing to read, then you literally can't do any of this. So like,
Yeah.
why would I pander to people's unwillingness to read? By pandering to their unwillingness to read, I'm just like wasting my time, right?
Sure.
But then, like, if you look at my growth, like the first month my website was up as like 100 people, and then like the second month it was like 200 people, and then the third month it was like 300 people, and then finally in the summer of 2022 I finally, because I was rewriting and expanding and researching that whole time period, and I was doing like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 edits a day on the website, like adding stuff in or clearing things up or changing something or doing something, but it was all text. But it was like 6 times a day, right? That continued until like June, July of 2022, and then I decided that I was like not very excited about it, and I wasn't very happy about it, and I thought it was ridiculous, but I decided I was going to make the first contract killer course, right? So what I did was I took my State National theory page, which is basically the size of a book, it's all text, and I made videos for each section. And at that time, it had 37 sections, right? So it was an introduction video, and then 37 videos, and then there was a goodbye video. So it was like 39 videos or something like that, right? So it took me about 5 or 6 weeks to shoot all that video. So I started in, I want to say May, like mid-May of 2022. And then I finished at the very, very end of June. And then I launched July 2nd of 2022. Then I hired a publicist. And then I started doing paid ads on Facebook to give away the course for free at this. So I had a publicist who was booking me on all sorts of podcasts and shows. And then I had paid ads to give away the course for free. And that's like, if I were to pull up graphs of the website, that's when it just literally went like this, and it just did not plateau until like February of 2023. And then by the time it plateaued, it was like 60, 70, 80,000 people a month coming to the website.
That's cool. Right on. That's good.
So I did like 150 shows between July of 2022 and July of 2023.
Wow.
And
so you're like
I
a
had
pro.
And I had
on
like
podcast.
90.
60,000
Yeah, I had like
a month?
Yeah, now it's more than
That's-
that, because now we have 3 websites. I have my
That's
nation's
awesome.
website, the Nation of the Amnesty Coalition, and then I have my law firm website, williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com, and then I have onestupidfuck.com. So now if you were to combine them all together, it's probably like 140,000 people a month.
That's
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Good job.
Yeah, that's really good. That's what we need. I think what people really like about you, this is just my opinion, obviously, is genuinity. If someone's genuine, you're going to get a lot further because they can sense it. And I think that's what a lot of people feel like they're missing with everyone bullshitting us all the time. Like, it's just like
Everything's fucking fake, bro. We got fake this, fake that, fake fucking cars, fake food, fake fucking money.
Yeah.
Not even fucking money. It's fucking fake, bro. Everything's
Fake
fake.
history, fake info,
Fake
fake
history.
education.
Fake everything,
Fake
bro. It's just
health.
fake.
Yeah, I agree.
Fake.
That's what
I mean,
think
someone
people
pointed
like.
this out. This pissed me off. You know, I'm talking about more fake shit. This fucking pissed me off. So these are the gold backs. You guys ever seen these gold backs?
Yeah. Has 1/100th of.
They had
piece of
some
gold.
fucking litigation or something. And I think the litigation, like, they made him put the term negotiable instrument on the gold back. I don't know if you can really see it, but where my finger is at,
Uh-huh.
right underneath
We can't
there.
see it, but we could
It says here, I'll
imagine
show
it.
it to you.
And
Oh,
the
it's like
tiny
a
print
Wonka
under
ticket.
Goldback.
Yeah. So they made them put
I see it.
AP Mex. I would see they'd sold those like a gold company, gold and silver.
These aren't
bullion.
fucking negotiable instruments, bro. Like, they're totally not. They totally don't fall
Because
into the category
it's
at
gold.
all.
It's the actual currency. It's like
Negotiable instrument is an unconditional promise or order to pay. These aren't promising or ordering anything. So
Yeah, it's value. in itself.
whoever fucking did that is a fucking idiot, because goldbacks are not negotiable instruments. It's a fucking complete lie.
Yeah, that's a
So
good
that kind of
one.
pissed me off. More fake bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was actually a cool thing. It would actually fall under lawful money, actually, more so than legal.
Yeah,
tender.
for sure.
Is it
I
a
agree.
real Goldback?
Yeah, so those
Yeah.
Gwen, those are things you can buy. They sell them on the gold bullion stores, like where we get your silver. They sell them, and they have a sliver, a foil of gold inside, sandwiched in between, and that sliver is worth like 1/100th of actual ounce of gold, and so it has like a value. And they
They
sell
feel
those
like
as a
like thick. I mean, you can literally feel like this is not
Like
paper.
material.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
not
it's
fucking paper,
supposedly sandwiched inside in the middle of it, and they're called gold backs. Anybody could look them up on bullion sites that sell them, but that's what they are. Yeah,
Even the
I've
back
heard
has the press through the
they have
metal.
different
You can kinda see
designs
it.
and shit.
They're cool as fuck. I actually really like them, but they're not negotiable instruments. That's fucking complete.
Yeah,
bullshit.
they're not. But see, if you weren't learning and knowing this stuff, you would never know that you'd see negotiable instrument and you'd be like one in ear and out the other. But because you know what you know, you look at this, you're like, this ain't no promise to pay. This is like actual legal tender right here. This is real money. Or
Yeah, it would
lawful.
actually
Why
fall
does
under
it
the
not
definition
say-
of money. Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
doesn't
it
it
would.
say negotiable instrument on the
I actually-
regular money?
The only
right.
reason why I can think maybe the reason why they put negotiable instrument on it is because money would have to be issued by a state.
Mm. Well,
I
when it
don't
was
know. That's
first
the only thing I can
first
think of,
issued,
but-
all the money was like private. There was all kinds of money all over the place. I don't know. A lot of people might not know.
Oh
that.
yeah,
Maybe
even
it's
like
history.
unions and shit would have their own currency.
Yeah,
and
everybody
shit.
had their
Yeah.
own different currency before the U.S. dollar and all that nonsense came out. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
But
yeah,
yeah,
it is. It's
so-
Article 1, Section 2, Clause 1. That's the gold clause, or the gold
Yeah.
where it says no state.
Yeah. So by the time I guess back to my story, by the time 2023 hit, I had kind of really just experienced massive growth, and then since the beginning of 2023, pretty steady growth ever since. And then I just released the 2.0 version of the free contract killer course, which was fully redesigned. Everything was fully redesigned. That was released on August 20th or 18th of this year. So it's 2 years later, right? Before the release of the 2.0 course, the number of people kind of like doing stuff and like taking action and like doing things and producing was pretty low. After 2.0, it's like
Skyrocketed because I see
100x.
I see your Facebook. I see what people are doing. Without
It's like
saying.
100x.
I see 'em.
Like people who aren't doing things are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like everyone like is like, "Why are you fucking here?" Literally, and like I kind of helped create that culture because I want that culture, but I wasn't even. That's not even me entirely driving that. I mean, yeah, it is, but it's kind of not too. Like if I went on vacation and you didn't see me, and I came back a month later, like they'd be the same shit. Someone would come in and say some stupid shit and be like, "What the fuck? Why aren't you doing anything? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, to go do the course, right?" So I like that. I like that culture because it's a culture of, dude. When I released 2.0, I released a copy of a trust and a trust template, a trust indenture template, and a certificate of trust template.
That's cool.
And I had a video. I still do have a video in the course on how to get an EIN number for the trust, how to structure the trust, and then how to get a bank account open with the trust, with the certificate of trust. And I swear to God, within like 40 days, Chase Bank released a fully standardized certificate of trust internal document. And I know it's because of my shit. Because they've
Cool.
in the whole history of Chase Bank and all banking, there's never been a standardized certificate of trust document.
Yeah.
No banks have that. And in fact, if you ask about trust and stuff, it's like it's so confusing and convoluted, and they've never really they don't really have. I was telling people before all of this, if you want to open up a trust, you have to go like put on a nice suit and drive to like the richest area of like a major city, because if you don't do that and you go to your local branch, a lot of people were getting kicked out because they thought that they were scamming the bank. But if you go to the super rich areas like the Beverly Hills, they know
common.
exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and they'll open the account for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we were doing for the longest time. And then ever since 2.0, now like they're standardizing everything because there's so many people pouring into these banks trying to get trust accounts. So
That's cool.
stuff at the IRS has shifted a lot over the past few months. They used to give EINs for my private nation all the time without any issues. And apparently over the past couple of weeks that's changed. So I'm already working on developing ways around that. But anyways, so yeah, it's this constant kind of, shift and this kind of thing. But I try to stay off of the social medias in terms of like really focusing my platform on the social medias because of what you're talking about. You never know what's going to happen. So I run everything through my email list, and I back up the email list in multiple places. So even if I was shadow banned on every fucking platform today, it really wouldn't totally blow out my whole platform. You guys have emails too, though, because you guys have a membership.
Yeah, we do, but we've only, because of how hard we get shit on, we've only accumulated to a certain point and then it's been shut off. So now it's pretty difficult. Ashley is the one who answers all the emails. So one of the things like we wanted to do is to be able to answer people's questions because that's what we wanted. So what we did, and it's literally like the model we say, we wanted answers and we couldn't find them. Just like when you were looking, you're like, dude, this shit was a mess. So we decided to create the answers from all the data we found and to answer people's questions as they were going through it, because the goal was to have a well-informed group of people that, they're not relying on people. We want them to realize that they're their own leader of their own life. And we wanted those type of informed people. So that's literally what we took on. And Ashley just answers the emails. That's like mainly one of the things she does a lot. And the people are always like, of course, when you answer someone's question in a timely manner, they're grateful, because when you're seeking information, you're like, bro, I want this answer. And then, you finally get it and you're like, yes, because it all just starts to click and make sense. And you realize like you're in the matrix. But anyways, and that's basically what happened. So that's how we came up with everything that we do. And we actually, something cool is we have a trust where we put God as the grantor. And nice. Everybody that we have, they get their trust underneath that status with God being the grantor. And we used not just the Declaration of Independence, but, the 97
There's a long list of stuff. And
it's 97-280. And it's where they talk about the Republic. The Bible is the rock that the Republic rests upon. It was like Thomas Jefferson who says it's in the middle of the page. But we use that public law to be able to do it. And it does fully works. And we create the trust based as God being the grantor. And so because we have to cross into Mexico now, we actually had no choice but to register or they're not going to let us cross. So when we registered the truck, we registered the truck into the trust, the actual, State Department, they were like, so is God the grantor on the paperwork? We're like, yes. She's like, well, write it down. So we're doing the paperwork, putting God as the grantor.
And an affidavit for the state.
So we wouldn't have known any of that either if we hadn't gone through this to learn all this. But the goal was to help people realize that your rights come from God and that you have to truly exercise them. And your free will has to be in existence or else someone else's free will in government is overtaking you. And you better just wear your mask and shut up, right? Because that's what they want. They want full compliance. And we're trying to open people's eyes to see that, no, you're the power. Government gets their authority from you, but only if you say so. If you say no, well, guess what? They're the authority. And that's literally what's been happening. And if everyone just got together and realized like we're the power and we just unite, there's no violence. We just tell them what to do and they do it. And that's it. But everybody doesn't realize the whole purpose of politics is to divide you. That's the core mission. That's what they serve. And the Federal Reserve will print any amount of money and pay them off on both sides. And they'll bicker and debate and divide the groups to pick a side all the way until we're like in handcuffs. And we're like, oh, shit. We're like, I tried to tell you. They were playing. They're like, and that's how their divide and conquer strategy works. They're like very sophisticated with it because it seems like they're like vampires living forever. And they just get like thousands of chances to get us tricked through psychology. And they know exactly what it takes to get us to do certain things. Because I know when they kicked off the mask stuff, I couldn't believe the people that complied. Even Gwen would make the actual store manager go shop for her. And adults would walk by her not realizing they're fully giving up what people bled and died for. You don't know what you're doing. And they just walk in compliant. I'm like, that's your number one source of nutrition, oxygen. They don't know it. I'm like, how do we not know this?
We were like some of the only people in San Antonio, Texas, that like standing up for our rights at that point.
Ashley called out the local judge that issued the mask mandate. The judge sent like cops to our house to check on us. And
Well, yeah, I recorded
Actu-
it. I literally was just like
She'll tell
standing
you.
there looking at everybody wear their mask. And by that time, they had already taken away the mandate to wear the mask. And it just broke my heart. And I was like, where has like humanity gone to, right? And Kenny's like, oh, look, there's Nelson Wolf. And something just overcame me. We had already started meditating by then, and just it was like I got struck by lightning, and I don't know, words just started coming out of my mouth, and I was calling them out for every like crime against humanity I could think of. And we didn't know so much then. But yeah, so I was like, we were on our way to clean the salon on the Sunday. It was like simple little day. And I decided I'm going to post this video on my hair account and hopefully inspire some other people to like, call these politicians out that are taking our rights away.
Mhm.
And it ended up, the video went all over the world. The world,
All over the world, Craig.
The world.
We were
Top
getting
flight of the
calls
world,
from
Craig.
Madagascar.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on like the front page of Yahoo. Well, because I told him like the crimes that he committed, like that they're gonna hang him in the Nuremberg trials. I told him like all this outrageous stuff, right? And like I was on Telemundo in Mexico. Like I was on.
That's hilarious.
I was on the
it was
homepage
funny.
of Yahoo on the internet, like, and then like TikToks, like we weren't even on TikTok or like have the app, and
It's what gave us the idea, because through TikTok they attacked us so bad because they had
like millions of views. There were people from my childhood that I went to school with, like in elementary, that was like, oh, I went to elementary school with her.
I had
was like,
family on
my
my
God.
dad's side of the family reach out to me because their friends
yeah,
were
like
showing them the
everybody was
videos.
reaching
Yeah.
out. It was a big deal.
They put our actual salon phone, because that's what we had. They put the salon phone number on like porno sites and said
for
Ashley like, wrote
gangbang. I
this-
was having a gangbang.
yeah, so
apparently.
so our salon phone would get like dick pictures and all from this judge. Imagine a judge having this type of authority. People could say, "Oh no, just random people." No, this was sophisticated attacks, and it came in and
We
it
were
was
getting
literally
death
trying
threats.
it was trying to bring the business down, and it didn't survive. A lot of patriots came in and people came in and were like, "We
Yeah,
really
they actually
support
did
you."
us a
They
favor.
they wanted to meet Ashley, but in the end, they were doing like crazy stuff. They were saying they're going to do
And
like
the satanic church doing abortion rituals.
That's what they
And I
said.
have
Yeah.
all of these pictures and videos in my phone still from recording it because I was the one who answered all of these.
The phone
and,
rang every day for the salon at nighttime, during the
nonstop.
day, like
Yeah.
hundreds of.
So
There are
we
people
know
lying-
how bad corruption is.
Lying, saying that,
Like-
leaving bad reviews, 600 bad
Oh, yeah.
reviews a day. They're saying, I went into the salon and she popped her titty out. Like all this crazy shit.
Nonsense. Like, yeah,
I was
all
like,
from
what
calling
did
out
I
the most.
do? Oh my God, what did
yeah.
I do?
Yeah, he was
Look
like the
what you
highest
did to
ranked, most
me.
corrupt judge. It was funny because there's like an old movie where he looks like that poltergeist guy that wears the hat, and I like put the picture of him side by side, and then I saw his wife tried to friend me on Facebook. I was like, oh shit, they found me. I don't
That's
know,
hilarious.
but yeah, that's like one of the things that kind of catapulted everything too. I mean, when you realize how corrupt
That
everything
what
is,
catapulted it.
I mean,
A situation
it's
like that, if you might not have realized it at the time, it might have been very overwhelming. But like, I wish to God something like that would happen to me, because I would be fucking calling up newscasters and doing interviews, and I'd be like, look, you can edit it all you want, you can butcher me all you want. I'd be going on newscasts in like crazy ass outfits and like onesies, and like I'd be wearing
That
like
sounds
fucking
like some
I'd
shit
be
that
wearing
I
like
would do.
mankinis, fucking like and it'd be like dun, 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 and it'd be like din, 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 it'd be like newscast from the Nation of the Amnesty Coalition. This is your king, Brandon Joe Williams, and I'd be in like I'd be like naked with like tit tassels, and I would spin that shit like you wouldn't fucking believe.
Well, you have to understand too that we had a fully staffed salon with people that were
Yeah.
our best friends and were really mad at me
and
for
they
what I did.
yeah they relied on that income.
Oh,
like
that
everyone
was-
that worked at our salon, we were the breadwinners of their house, and they
Yeah.
were very dedicated.
They all made a lot of money.
loyal. Yeah, and it like flipped their world upside down, because even though they like were happy to listen to all the things that we would say, and like you would even think they were into it, as soon as someone's livelihood they feel like could be possibly threatened, we ended up losing all of our friends and people that worked for us basically from that.
Damn.
So
because
like,
I
I was
we
just trying to
cared
clean
about
up the
truth.
mess, and I could
Yeah.
understand like their point of view too. Like, well, you know, you work really hard for your clients that you got, and then you got clients coming in being like,
That shows how
What's
strong the
happening?
divide.
I'm here for the
That's
gangbang.
with the necklace and everything.
Yeah, hi. Do you have name tags? My name's George. I'm here for the gangbang.
Hey, actually, there was one that Gwen got, right, and Gwen's like, "Hey, I'm a little kid. I just answered the work phone. This was just like an attack." And the guy sent us the actual ad and felt bad. He's like, "Hey, I'm a fucked up guy, but I'm not that fucked up." And he sent us the ad, and that's how we saw it, dude. It was really funny. He's like, "Yeah, I
They
know,
pulled,
it's so
like,
wild."
They pulled all my pictures off of like our Yelp and like all of
Yeah.
like our cute salon pictures of like,
Yeah.
I was
They were
like,
people were ready. That's for sure.
I'm a popular girl.
Fun and games.
Yeah.
Fun and games.
Yeah.
You know.
There's always a price whenever you want to stand up for the truth, and that's just what we ended up embodying into our life. Now we're doing a whole completely
And the
different
price
thing.
is
We want to open
$10.99
up.
a month.
Well, now we're doing something we want to have a actual open where people could come, a donation-based healing center, and it inspired us from our year in Hawaii. We did something that was very unique, and it was very difficult. It's where you sit for 10 days straight and you do over 100 hours of meditation, and you have to focus on your breath. It's the most oldest teaching. It's universal law, and it has to do with your self-awareness. But the key takeaway that I took, everybody got different stuff, but we were all so inspired by the end that we decided to give that up and to come to Mexico and to suck it up no matter what it costs to make the next step happen. But what we figured out is whenever you are focusing here, it's very hard because your mind wanders with everything in the world going on. But if you have a thought that you dislike, all you have to do is go to the breath, and that is the other side of the coin. And eventually you can control your thoughts. And that is when I realized like everything you do in your life starts with a thought. So the battleground is the thought. So if you can control your thoughts, you can change your life. And this is what we want to teach. We want to go to a higher universal law and teach people real universal laws that have been removed from all religions. And the stuff we want to teach is universal. We're not going to pick a sect, even though we were all raised. Ashley was, she was around Christian. I was raised Christian. We took Gwen to church. And so we believe, and we just want to teach back universal laws that go to everybody and have an actual place where people can go. And that's the mission we're on right now.
Well, and to have, it's like a homestead healing center to not only teach breath work, meditation, food, all the, people are out there consuming, paying top dollar for poison, for fake food.
So we make all our own food. We grow a lot of our own stuff over there. Now over here, we don't have to because we're too busy working. But over there in Hawaii, we grew like a lot of our own stuff. Huge.
Well, we just decided not to spend the time on, because the garden takes up a lot of time, and everything's so fresh because it's like the little farm.
Because it's grown right here.
So, so we just decided to wait until we get the healing center, and then to have like orchards and all the things there. That way we can teach people more.
Destroy the whole system.
Yeah, we also did something else really hard in Hawaii that you didn't mention. We ate only raw food for almost 6 months. We didn't eat no cooked food.
That was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy.
We're fruitarians, basically, even though we
didn't
vegetables.
Like Jumanji. Yeah, we're like Jumanji or something. It was pretty wild. We all did it as a part of, we wanted to help it was very difficult, but we did it for our special needs son, and we decided, and we held everybody accountable, even grandma. Grandma came with us, and she's like 80 years of not changing her thoughts. So, to get her to do it, and we got her to do it. And she disappeared one day, came back, and we're like, there you are. But yeah, it worked out in the end. Vinny lost 100 pounds. We detoxed him, completely detoxed him. He has like no more tests for heavy metals in his hair, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work to change him so that we
on
can
a curriculum for autistic parents to be able to heal their children through meditation and natural healing.
Yeah,
because we all meditate for him too.
We have a supplement line and everything that's all organic, grown here, made here,
freeze dried.
Freeze dried. We can help anybody else make it too. Yep,
charged with frequency light.
That's right. And the coolest part is we don't help the corruption none. We don't fund the corruption none with any of that. All that goes to funding the goodness of the world, none to them. So if you know what that means, that means we're patriots too. That's what it means. We don't fund the corruption. We do not give them anything.
No taxes.
Yeah, we keep it as a ministry because it is. Since you want to poison us, and we realize that we have rights, and we have if Kenneth Copeland can be like, I bought this airplane so I could look crazy at everybody? What would look like a demon? Have you ever seen how these rich pastors are able to just get away with everything? He's like, I have the biggest house in the whole state of Louisiana.
They do that through corporation souls. That's how they do that. Corporation souls. But the thing is, there's a better route, even better than the corporation soul, in my opinion, which is to create your own nation. And then the birth of the trust is inside of your created nation. There was nobody really doing that. I kind of started doing that, and that's been the best thing ever. It's just like the clearest, cleanest thing, and it's not the trust and the nation interfaces into the United States Code on an international law basis.
How does that slow manage jam connect and all that? Because that seems like.
Dude, I've talked to him. So I'm an ambassador. Right? I'm actually a part of Parliament now over there. I'm the Prince of Pickles for Pickle. So I'm the Prince of Pickles. So I'm both an ambassador and I'm a member of Parliament. I even have a special passport. I can show it to you guys.
That's pretty cool. Can you fly other countries with it?
Oh my god!
Wait, that's so funny. Wait, is that a real passport?
We're about to find out right now when he answers. I'm excited.
Yeah, tell us.
That is cool.
What country is that?
It's in the U.S., but it's a micronation called Slow Managed Jam or something. It's pretty cool. I see it on Joe's Facebook.
Yeah, I can do a screen share. I can take you guys through. I can give you a little tour of Slowjamistan if you want.
So does that passport allow you to fly to other places, or is it just like interstate travel?
He says no, but there's a lot of people using it, and it's working. So it's kind of a complicated situation. And what's super funny about Slowjamistan is, I'll show it to you guys. I'm doing a screen share, but I'll probably have to get approved to do the screen share.
I can see it.
No, it's
I can
popping
see it.
I can see it.
It's up. It's up, bro.
So here is Slowjamistan, okay? And it's this little tiny plot of land in the middle of nowhere right by the Salton Sea. So it's about 3 hours east of me, way out in the desert. It's kind of close to Palm Springs, basically-ish.
Okay.
And basically what it is, it's a full-blown micronation. And what's so funny about it is I talked to this guy many times. He's actually going to be helping me most likely build my own passport for the Nation of the Amnesty Coalition. I'll be building my own passport here soon. And what's so funny is that he doesn't. So the background on this guy is he's been to like every UN country and a bunch of other non-UN countries, and he just loves to travel. Okay. So
cool.
He despises Crocs and people who drive in the passing lane when they're not passing.
He's also sexy as fuck, right? Right? So it's kind of funny. I don't know where he's at now, but I've talked to him a couple times, and what's so funny is he doesn't really know much about any of the legal stuff at all. He's just like full raw dogging this thing. He's just like, he has his own cop cars. He has his own. Well, it's funny is we have the same last name. My biological father's name is Randy Williams. So when I first started talking to him, I was like, "Are you my dad secretly?" Like started fucking with him, right? But they have all these different chief border agent and all this stuff. And if you go on
they have EMS.
If you go on their Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, you can see that they have their own fire truck. They have their own police force, a police car, and the police car looks just like normal police cars, to the point where there was one time where they got pulled over in the police car and handcuffed and put in the back of the car. And then the sheriff came out and was like, "Oh no, I know these guys. This is the Slowjamistan guys out there," and he's like, "Leave these guys alone." And the cops were like all confused. And now they do photos with the cops. You can see all these photos with the cops, and the cops have thumbs up and all that kind of thing. Here's a flamethrower. This is outside of.
This is the type of shit that I'm for. How have I
So
never?
Slowjamistan,
It's
there's
on his
everyone
page.
taking an
Go
oath
check it
in Slowjamistan, right?
out.
There's Rennie Williams in front of Slowjamistan, right? And it's so funny. It's just we have our own currency, our own passports. There's coins and doubles, which is like paper money, right? There's a whole shop. You can get let's see, you can get license plates, you can get diplomatic license plates, you can get
That's so funny because
passport.
he just made a play on
So
word for slow jam.
There's rules, so there's no Crocs allowed in Slowjamistan, and they actually have a full blown stocks, like old stocks where you put your head and your arms in it. They have a full like 1820 stocks out in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, and if you wear Crocs in there, they put you in the stocks.
Oh my goodness,
I'm gonna wear Crocs just to go to the stocks because why
not? There's only 2 rules in Slowjamistan. Rule number 1 is no Crocs, and rule number 2 is when you eat string cheese, you can't bite into it. You have to pull it apart. Yeah, it's the only 2 rules, right? And it says
I just fell
careful.
In love.
It says like careful landmines when you first go there, and there's like a barbed wire fence, but it's like 1 foot. You can become a citizen of Slowjamistan for free. If you want to be an ambassador like me, or if you want to be a part of parliament like me, that's another area of the website.
What part of parliament are you?
It's just like a $10 fee. There's different levels and stuff.
That's how real Congress is. You just pay, and then they get whatever they want.
Brandon,
I'll show you
what
mine.
part of parliament are you?
I'll show you. So you scroll down on the parliament page, right? And it gets funnier and funnier as you go down. You have press secretary, special forces. Then we start getting into like crown prince. Start getting into the director of misdirection. Right?
He looks like
minister
the director
of astronomy, minister of tomfoolery,
crock rehab,
princess duchess of crock rehab. Right?
Oh, I love her, Princess Duchess.
Minister
I'm
of
going to change my
margaritas.
name to that.
Right. And then you keep going down, and then
of mediocrity,
of
pizza affairs.
Oh yeah,
there we go.
That's pretty cool.
I want a page? I want to be a part of parliament on this page.
Yeah, so I think it's like you have to sign up, and it's part of like Patreon or whatever, and it's like $15 a month or something, or $20
it's only
a month.
Patreon. That's it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go put my face up on this bitch.
So this is Parliament, and then you go down here, and then this is the ambassador section. This chick right here is like a huge anchor for like a major news like broadcast. I've looked it up. She's she's like Rancho Cucamonga, but she's like a freaking news anchor for like Channel 5 News. I was like, oh shit.
The only place I know Rancho Cucamonga from is from like Friday Part 2.
Well, Rancho Cucamonga is also where they shot Workaholics, the TV show.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
Cool. I don't know.
Oh my
so yeah,
goodness.
so this is Slowjamistan, right? And he got the idea from that other micronation, Nevada Micronation. Oh, what's it called? Oh yeah, the Republic of Molossia. You guys ever heard of that one?
No, you're literally the first one I saw was the one on your page. I'd never seen it before, and I was like, "What is this micronations?" I see them with passports and all kinds of shit. I was like, "This is interesting."
So as far as I know, this is the oldest micronation in the United States. This is this is all based off of. I can show you evidence on how this works. Department of Interior, right? If you go to the U.S. Department of the Interior website and you go to About Us, right? What we do, and you can see here the Department of the Interior plays a central role in how the United States stewards its public lands, increases environmental protections, pursues environmental justice, and then here's the key part, and honors nation-to-nation relationships with tribes. So tribes, like for example, Oklahoma is like, they're like 50% of the entire landmass of Oklahoma is private Indian tribes. They're actually legally an entirely separate nation, and that's why the Department of Interior is nation-to-nation relations with tribes, right? So a micronation is the exact same thing. You could say tribe, or you could say micronation, or you could say tribal nation. It's all the same term. So Molossia and Slojamistan, it's the same thing as saying like Cherokee Nation land.
How do they get the state to recognize them like the Cherokees? Seems like the Cherokees and people like that in general have such a hard time being recognized. How do they?
They don't need to. If you look at 18 U.S.C. 11, foreign government defined.
Okay.
The definition of a foreign government includes any government, faction, or body of insurgents within a country with which the United States is at peace, irrespective of recognition by the United States.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
So recognition is completely irrelevant. And the problem is that if you do get federal registration, you're essentially turning that nation into a U.S. citizen. Because a U.S. citizen, if you look at 28 U.S.C. 9102, and you go down to subsection 18, definition of United States, by law, by birth, or by naturalization. So you're becoming a U.S. citizen when you federally register by law.
Yep. Number C, or any corporation existing under the laws of the United States.
So letting them know you're there, like for example, when you start getting into like how do you let the Department of State know about your it wouldn't be an embassy,
foreign nation, micronation,
consulate, right? So a consulate, if you start looking at the whole breakdown of the difference between diplomats and consulars, so diplomats are basically on the non-commercial side and they have a higher protections. Consulate is business relations. So it's like commerce relations, right? So if you had an embassy, it'd be non-commerce relations, and then a consulate is commercial relations. I'm not even sure a lot of the embassies and consulates even know this information, but that's the actual breakdown of it when you start to really look into it, right? What's crazy is every single passport in the United States is issued under the Bureau of Consular Affairs. Actually, in fact, this is a huge breakthrough that happened like yesterday. I haven't even had a chance to even put a lot of the information together. I'm literally working on, I can show it to you. I'm literally working on a full flow chart to kind of break down everything that's kind of happened.
Oh, I love that stuff.
I've had a bunch of really huge breakthroughs over the past week or two about all this stuff and about the how all this stuff works. And I'm going to be releasing this probably in the next handful of days, but this is going to change everything. I'm going to have to rewrite a lot of my websites and rewrite a lot of stuff because this is going to be it's a huge shift, and I've kind of realized a lot of things. Like for example, the biggest thing is the definition of the word individual, right? So in person, and the term person means and includes an individual, a trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation, right? Well, I found out, I didn't know this until recently, the term individual means individual proprietorship, which is the same term as a sole proprietorship. So really, if you want to break down what the word person means, it means a business, a business, a business, a business, a business, a business, or a business. Mm-hmm. And that's been a huge breakthrough over the past handful of days. And I've been breaking down case law. I've got case law that supports this. I've got all this stuff, and I'm tying it all together.
We saw one that said natural person. When we pulled it up, it was talking about like flesh and blood. So I was
that's
like, wow.
inside Black's Law's dictionary.
Well, that's how I feel like they get us, is because they put all these corporations and then it's like D on some random definition that's not a part of the normal set of definitions. Then you'll find natural person and it's talking about the actual like living, breathing person. I was like, what?
That one's in like
but you also have
definition.
You also have like this.
Everything's a hustle with their
Check this out. Look at this
codes.
definition of individual. Because this is the one I show people.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm blind. I have to put my glasses back on.
The term this comes from means a citizen of the United States or an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence. But residents,
yeah, now they're going to tell you, oh yeah, but that only applies to Title V, which is FOIA or whatever. But then you can turn around and you can hit them with the same thing. Yeah, okay, but you're saying, like, for example, if we go to Title VIII, which is the aliens and nationality, and we go down to the word person.
Okay.
what's the definition of the word person in Title 8? Do you guys know? I know it by heart, but that's just because I look at it 9,000 times a day.
Let's go.
It's an individual or an organization. That's the exact definition in Title 8, right? So an organization is defined in subsection 28, but individual is not defined anywhere. So they're very, very careful which titles that they actually define individual and which ones they don't, right?
Yeah, this is that legalese shit that people think, oh, it's talking about an individual. That means me, but it's actually never is.
Well,
this is
sorry.
That's how you keep slaves. That's
There's
all
a
it is.
definition of person, right?
How we keep slaves.
Well, in that
There's a definition of person.
In that last definition of individual that you just pulled up, it said about residency, though, and that's still for a corporation or a business.
That's correct.
All of them were. Everything.
That's correct. So if you were to take this definition and put it into normal terms, right, it would be, a business or a business located in the District of Columbia, basically, would be the definition, right? But you also have the trade, U.S. citizen, trade, I forget the USC. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this definition. United States business. United States.
Yeah, the United States business is a good one.
Yeah, where it says it's a U.S. citizen, part 1.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use this all the time. We always show everybody this one.
So you guys know that one. Is it this one here?
I like how that you're doing all of this because people who watch the podcast are going to be able to see how someone, how we would look something up, and they'll be able to imitate something like that
to be able
themselves.
to start to look too for their own.
Yeah. So thank you
the
for
term United
showing
States.
all of this.
Business. Yeah, you're welcome. The term United States business means a United States citizen.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm plugging all this into that flow chart. This is 15 USC 4724. And people say, oh, that's for trade shows. I got it. It's called circumstantial evidence, people. For all the naysayers out there who talk mad shit, we build this out. We're like, okay, we find 3, 4, 5 of these, and then now we've proven our end. It's like we've shown circumstantial evidence. Now the burden of proof falls on them to prove the opposite. That's the whole point of what we're trying to do, right? So, it was assumed that an individual is a natural person. Well, you need to prove that. I'm going to show you some reasons why that assumption isn't so simple. And then now you're going to have to prove that they can't because it's not defined. That's the whole point, right? Once they can't define it, that's it. They lose. That's the end of the fucking game, right? So I have circumstantial evidence, which isn't great, but it's better than having fucking nothing. That's the point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think people should practice this litigation and small stuff if you can. I got lucky and was able to work on my grandma's stuff just for her. Well, Ashley's mother's stuff, being able to just get stupid court for debt, for having a debt. And it helps you realize how the system works. And then once you learn the little bit about litigation and then you start combining it with all this kind of knowledge, that's what it takes to restore everything. We're not gonna restore if we don't actually take our own free will, put some damn energy into ourselves and learn this. And once you have the knowledge, who's gonna take it from you? Nobody. All right, continue. Sorry.
Exactly.
I had to say that.
So during COVID, Randy Williams, the guy who is the dude over at Soljamistan, he couldn't travel very easily. And he had already been to 154 nations.
He was in
and him and I actually did a show together about all of his travels and everything. It's pretty cool. It's on my YouTube if you want to check it out. He talks a lot about the different countries and which country is his favorite. And he fell in love with Brazil, and then he moves to Brazil. And he's really cool. He's such a great dude, honestly. He's one of the coolest dudes I've ever met.
That's cool.
And during COVID, when he couldn't travel a whole lot, he heard about this micronation in Nevada called Molossia. He went to Molossia, and that was the experience that got him to decide to birth Soljamistan. And at first it was just a joke. Soljamistan was just a joke at first. But then it just got so big so fast that now it's his full-time deal.
I need to visit Soljamistan before I die.
That's pretty cool.
This is when you first get to Soljamistan, there's this dark, and you can barely see. There's a mannequin in here dressed up in a uniform. It's It's like a military uniform.
I saw videos of that on like TikTok. People were showing inside there. There's a guy in there. They're like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and this is where it's at. So you see like San Diego's right here, and you see like LA's right here. It's right here. This is the Salton Sea right here. And then this is like a blow up map of that little area. That's the Salton Sea right there. So where are you guys at? This is Mexicali?
Yeah,
Mexicali?
Yeah, we're way far away.
So
Where
it's
we're
like
at on the
an hour
borders.
north of Mexicali, basically.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. We're far as hell from that. We're like 2,500 hours. We're like 25 hours probably away from that.
Oh, yeah.
Where are we at? Yeah.
It's way out there, bro.
only
It,
know
it
from
literally
driving to
looks
Cali.
just like this. Like you could just spin around in a 360 and it looks just like this.
Looks cool.
I've
It'd be
never
cool to ride
been
a bike.
so in
Like,
love with a nation before.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, they have their own. I wish I could find it. Let me see if I can find. They have Buy a Brick. We have sub-states now. Like I think the one Gwen would like.
Buy a brick. Is that
There's
like
one
where your
state.
name
No,
is
that-
in the brick and
Gwen,
There's-
I'll sell you.
There's
a brick
one
as
called
many as you
Hot.
want.
There's one called
I wanna buy it
Hot
for me.
Damistan. I think that's the one that Gwen would love. Hot Damistan. It's two hot chicks. So Snooklin, and then we have. They don't show Hot Damistan. It's so funny. She's hilarious.
That's pretty cool.
Let me see if I can find national anthem, politics, citizens, departments, banishments. Well, people wearing Crocs, they gotta get fucking kicked out,
they document that.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Main organization
Steve's been quiet.
refusing to shake the Sultan's hand, being a horrible host in general. Banished
just,
by
Evidence.
Sojamistan
Evidence.
Department of Justice.
Taking it
Evidence.
It
over.
has evidence. An officer got banished.
Oh
I
yeah,
felt-
and he does the goofy shit. Like he went to NATO recently, and like I don't even know how he got in, but he got kicked out of NATO. Literally, they kicked him out. And the reason why they kicked him out, I'm trying to remember the story. He told me the story. I think the reason why he got kicked out is because he had like two hot chicks that he like brought with him that were like his bodyguards. And when he went in to take a piss in the bathroom, he had the hot chicks like guard the bathroom entrance or something. And I think that's why he was kicked out of NATO.
That's pretty crazy.
Right?
NATO's
So
one of
he
the
does
big
some
dogs.
really, really crazy shit. And he travels all the time. He goes all around the world. He's got stories. When he was on my show, he was telling me a story about when he visited the embassy in Cuba, or was it Cuba? I forget. And it's this whole crazy story about how like the Cuban like ambassador wanted like a bunch of like really basic things, like some extension cords and stuff, and like stuff you can't really get in Cuba. So he like got this list of stuff that the ambassador at the embassy of Cuba wanted and like brought it all to him, and then like tried to give him like an honorary Sojamistan plaque. And like he thought that it was like an act of war or something, and it was like really fucking crazy. He tells this whole story of like how the guy in Cuba like took it all like super wrong and thought it was like a
So his
he thought that
Micronation almost went to war.
he thought he was like fucking with them or like something, or like, and he like had him leave. He's like, you need to leave, and it's like in the embassy, and his friend thought they were gonna get like murdered or
You
something.
need to leave before we shoot our Cuban missiles at you.
Dude, seriously, he's got stories, bro. And what's funny is he's in the media a lot. He's got a lot of international media, bro. He was on like Channel 7,
Dictatorship?
Channel 9, and Channel 5 News in LA.
He's
Like,
a
literally.
dictator.
Yeah.
He looks
I
like one of these.
Here's him at
have-
NATO. This is
He looks
right
like a
before they
general
kicked him
from
out.
Narcos.
Growing up with me and my best friend, I would always have a joke with her that we were just going to become dictators of the whole world and take it over. And that's what this is reminding me of.
Yeah, 'cause
Holy
that's
shit.
how
He
Casey,
literally
if
looks
you
like one of the
ever come
generals
across
from
this
season 1 of
podcast-
Narcos.
That's kind of how she acts at home.
I'll show you mine. I'll show you what mine looks like. It's very basic. I haven't done much with it. I'll probably do more with it at some point. This is my crest coat of arms, and this is my website. It's just super basic. It's just like
Hello from
Uh,
the king.
basic basic information. This is me actually in Slowjamistan, right?
We need a picture of you like rolling a joint first page.
Oh my God. And questions and answers, covenants.
Just because he's in California means he smokes? I don't agree. You never know. You can't judge a pickle by its cover.
Did I misgender you? Did I misclass you for your smoking, Brandon?
I don't smoke.
Really?
No, I don't smoke. Yeah.
When you think you know and you don't. Did y'all know the head of the NATO chief of staff? His name was Adolf Husinger. And that's NATO, NATO, right? The head, he's the chief of staff. His name's Adolf Husinger. And he came from the Nazi Party. So how did a person from the Nazi Party take over a global position of power? I'm just curious for everybody out there. Like, how did they go from losing a war to being head of NATO? And they actually took over all of them. Took over NASA, the European Commission, Walter Hallstein, he took over. How, if they lost, did they take over? Kurt Waldenheim, Secretary General of the United Nations. So we have all these global positions of power all headed by former Nazi officers. So whenever people think you're free, you better realize
how old are they now?
They're dead, probably all of them. Yeah, it's one of the things I always get banned for. So since I get the chance, since you brought up NATO, I was like snitching them out. You know what I mean? Why not? Perfect opportunity. But yeah, they really did. And their names, if you just Google those names, head of the EU Commission's Walter Hallstein, then Adolf Husinger was NATO's chief of staff, and then Kurt Waldenheim, he took over the Secretary General for the UN. So those three global positions of power, imagine losing a global war and telling the populations around the world, hey, they lost. We're just putting all their people in charge of all the world because they lost.
So, Brandon,
they have to do labor back.
The whole subject is super fascinating, and it's super simple. Basically, you have UN nations and non-UN nations. And you can create a nation by just saying that it's there and just being at peace. That's the key. If you look at the definition of the word nation, it means that you have to be at peace, right? What does peace mean? There's a legal definition for that. It means, basically, it means like not just doing nothing, but like basically actively increasing like relations and friendliness. Like you actually stretch out and like communicate and help, and like it's not just a passive thing. If you look up the definition of nation at peace. Well, there's two USs and there's 50 different independent countries, so it's hard to even have that conversation. You know, it's like
I get you. I was just talking from like the citizen's point of view who don't know about all of the differences. Like just the corporation US that says
there are certain areas. I'm not the biggest. I'm not really anti United States. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm sort of like, if we make a few tweaks, plus, one of the main things that my nation stands for is, Congress in 1967 literally had a whole section in the congressional record talking about how the 14th Amendment was never properly ratified. So we take that whole section, which is like 3 or 4 entire pages of dialogue, and we basically, part of my covenant is to swear to basically bring down the 14th Amendment, which it's not really an act of war. We're actually operating off of a congressional record. So it's not really something that could be considered unpeaceful, because we're literally just operating off of a fucking congressional record. So once the 14th Amendment is pulled, it's like the rug, everything comes down with it. The whole structure, everything you've ever known comes with it. U.S. citizen category is gone. Every single 3 or 4 letter agency is gone. And people freak out. They're like, oh my God, it's going to be like mass unemployment. You can take the whole CIA and put it underneath like a state
McDonald's.
Like a state sheriff's office. You take the whole CIA and you break it up by 50 states.
You repurpose it is what you would do.
Yeah, it would go under the sheriff's department, and it would become like the Department of Investigations underneath the sheriff's department of California. So you take all the CIA guys and you cut them up into 50 different states wherever they live. So each guy, if you live in New Mexico, now, okay, you're no longer part of the CIA. Now you're underneath the sheriff's department in a sub-department called the Department of Investigations for the Sheriff's Office of
That would be
New
the
Mexico.
actual only legal way, because the sheriff's like the highest chief law enforcement.
That's what I mean.
Because he's voted.
So they don't need to, it's like if you just sit around and you're like, fuck this and fuck the CIA, we're going to take the CIA down. Well, then they're not going to like that.
Say that. You can't say that.
But I'm just saying.
Why did my phone get deleted?
Well, yeah. I mean, plus it's just not even necessary. I mean, you don't know everybody in the CIA. You don't know what these people think and how they behave and all this. We don't have people. I mean, one of the things that's really epic is during our show, me and Randy Williams were talking about different countries. He talks about Somalia. And you have to have like 4 or 5 guys with machine guns just to go down the street in Somalia. Literally, right? It's like getting raped and stabbed in the throat and murdered, like just going down and getting like bread, literally. And he's
better be
like,
some good fucking bread.
and he's like, dude, you look at these, they're called failed states. That's if you look up Somalia, it's called a failed state, right? You look up some of these places, it's like, dude, when you start to look around, there's not a whole lot of that around. But when you do look at something like that, or look at like Venezuela, it used to be an amazing country, and then that went to shit, right? What we have here is actually pretty amazing. And the way I look at it is you just take all the CIA guys and you just stick them in the sheriff's office, and everyone's happy, and they have jobs, and everything's good. And I just don't see a problem with that. Yeah.
Well, I think if you actually put people in positions of authority, repurposing the CIA, repurposing the FBI, you actually put them in charge of keeping people like us, like the average person, safe instead of sitting on the side of the road, traffic tickets, looking for people running red lights. Instead of them becoming like revenue agents, put them out there to be constables. Let them actually go out, enforce the law, keep the streets clean.
Child trafficking.
Yeah, like there's so many other things that you could do rather than what they're currently doing. And most of what they do now has nothing to do with us in terms of securing us. They're more spying on us and they're using us as just revenue machines. So all they're doing is, you're not doing it. First of all, cops, and I'm sorry to say this, but most law enforcement, you don't actually save people. You're there to clean up the mess afterwards and hopefully catch somebody and incarcerate them down the road. You're not actually stopping anything. We've been stripped of all the rights to protect our homes, protect our families. So I think there's so many different conversations you have to have in order to implement this, but you're 100% accurate.
Well, no, it's if you took, like, for example, you have the sheriff's office, you have the police. Have you ever noticed that you don't see sheriffs pulling over people on the side of the road and giving them traffic tickets? It's very rare.
Yeah, no.
And if you go and let's say you look up, like, for example, unincorporated counties, and then you'll look inside the unincorporated counties, they don't have a police force. It's only a sheriff's department.
We lived in one in Hawaii, and in my hometown, the sheriffs pull the shit out of everybody, and they beat your ass.
In Texas, they do.
In Texas,
I've heard a lot of stories about Texas specifically.
They love
about
beating
the
you up
down
in
there.
Texas.
Yeah.
They're like,
that's a whole different story. Yeah. Anyways, but besides that, obviously, which is ridiculous. My point is that I forget where I was looking it up, or I was talking to somebody. I forget where it was, but I think like 50% of all the court cases in the United States of America come from traffic. Mm. And so what you have is you have this commercialization of the judicial system, right? And now with the Chevron being overturned, and then also with all the stuff that I'm doing, and then if you guys want to go in this direction too, the amount of overall caseload that's coming onto the judicial lines is so bad, and it's so much worse than it normally is, that it's a great time now to talk about, like, if the judicial system is starting to get overloaded, maybe they originally started doing the traffic stuff as a way to get more cases into the judicial system, but like now it's like heavily stressed. It's a great time to talk about, this whole traffic thing is ridiculous. It really shouldn't be like this. And if you can cut half of the cases out of the judicial system, you can clean the whole judicial system up in one instant by simply just handling, traffic and getting rid of traffic. And I think really ultimately, if you were to survey people on the street and you were to say, like, if traffic cops and traffic related anything was just completely removed from the society entirely, what would be your opinion of police officers? And I think the public relations aspect of how people feel about police officers would clean up basically overnight. I think a vast majority of people's upset with the police is the traffic part.
Yeah. But that's a structuring of compartmentalization to keep people pinned against each other. And then they just give the cops the rules and they follow them and they close your business down. They don't know the constitutional rights. They're like, hey, you're non-essential. We checked the list. The government put it out.
But there's not a lot of that, even in LA. I'm telling you, there was press releases on that kind of stuff, and LA was a fucking total fucking shithole when it comes to all that stuff. But like cops coming and shutting down it's just didn't really. It was like 3 of them, and one of them they said "fuck you," and it was this whole thing, and they put sandbags in front of the door, and then they came and moved the sandbags, and then they turned the electricity off, and then they had a generator, and they were still there. I mean, But that's just like a couple of examples. There's not like a whole lot of those going on. You know what I mean?
Well, I also feel like
in Texas, Kenny, everyone gladly shut down.
Yeah,
there
everybody
were people
shut
trying
down.
to stay
They're
open.
like
In the
fully...
ladies' salon in Dallas, she was able to stay open.
She got arrested. She just got voted into Congress or something. She made a position. That lady that was arrested in Dallas. If you look,
I saw that. Yeah,
they have a come and take it thing, and it has like a hair dryer. I was like, that's gangster.
Oh my God.
I was like, you know what, Brandon? Though the biggest part about all this is that it's global. So while we say, oh, it's just this, if we switch it over to the CIA, no. The way your Federal Reserve is installed for your monopoly money is global. And
but the thing is for me, the biggest thing on all this, it is global. You look at it as a bad thing or whatever. I look at it as a good thing. And the reason why is because once you understand how all this stuff works, especially the negotiable instruments side of things, once you understand how negotiable instruments work, any tickets, any bills, any IRS, any taxes, anything, it's all just cash. They're just handing you cash. And as long as you know how to operate negotiable instruments, as long as you know the basic rules of negotiability and endorsement and tender and transfer and issuance and all the stuff, the entire control system that is been installed in every single country in the whole planet except like 4 or 5 is instantaneously just, it doesn't have any teeth anymore. It's very simple. Like I look at it as a very simple situation because it's not that complicated. When you're handed a traffic ticket, it's an unconditional order to pay, which is a negotiable instrument, right? So what do you do with an unconditional order to pay? You negotiate it. You put an endorsement on it and you send it in. If you send it into the court and the court doesn't accept it as a payment, then you go to what's called the Court of Federal Claims and you sue that court for failure of performance.
That's what I need to do. Thank you for dropping that.
They cannot, it's the law. They can't not take that as a payment. And you say to yourself, oh, well, what if I go there and then I don't win there? Well, there's an appeals. There's an appeals court in the Court of Federal Claims. And then I don't know if there's anything higher than that in the Court of Federal Claims specifically. But my point is that very, very rapidly you're going to put on a don't bother this guy list. I'll tell you right now.
I knew I fucking have the judge and the prosecutor and the clerk. I knew I had their asses.
The easiest thing to do is you get an unconditional order to pay, you endorse it, and you tender it back to what's called the person entitled to enforce the instrument. So you're going to tender it back into the court, and you're going to say, thank you very much. I have accepted this ticket. I have performed on this ticket, and I have tendered this ticket back to the person entitled to enforce this ticket. Please ensure that this payment is applied and any obligations are discharged on behalf of this ticket and blah, 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 blah.
I've done something like that, and they didn't uphold it. But I didn't do the second part where you said, okay, they don't uphold it. Then you go to federal court and you sue them downwards for them not upholding.
Well, you can also go to appeals. So like, let's say, for example, you put the payment, you endorse the unconditional order to pay, and you place it onto the docket, right? Then you also got to think too, like we've done some tests on this. I haven't gotten far enough with it, but like a negotiable instrument would be the original actual physical ticket that you were given, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like you can put a copy of the unconditional order to pay on the docket for a lawsuit, but then you have to mail the original into the court using registered mail, because registered mail, literally, if you go online and you look up registered mail, it says specifically for negotiable instruments.
I did that.
That's what it's for. It's for originals. Like if you just print some shit off the internet, like a bill for your credit card and mail it in, you don't necessarily need to send it in registered mail. But if it's an original negotiable instrument,
that's what
with like hand signatures and stuff on it from like cops, that's something that you want to send registered mail. Or you can go in physically in person and turn it into the clerk, right? So you can put a copy on the docket, but then the original has to get there because it's an original document that has to be handled by the court, right? So if they don't allow that, then at that point you would file a notice for appeal because you're going to go to a higher court because this lower court doesn't understand enough about negotiable instruments. And so basically once you endorse the instrument and once you tender the instrument back to the person entitled to enforce the instrument, they have only two options. Option number one is to dishonor the instrument according to the rules of dishonor, which is UCC 3-502, or they have to apply the payment. So if you never get a notice of dishonor, and if you look at the rules of dishonor, almost all of the rules of dishonor, almost every single one has to do with performing after the due date. Performing after the due date is like 90%. I just gave you literally 90% of all the rules of dishonor. So as long as you perform before the due date, there's like the only other thing I can think off the top of my head that's one of the rules of dishonor is if they claim fraud associated with the endorsement. For example, they claim that the person who endorsed the instrument isn't really the real person who endorsed the instrument. Now, that's really easy to handle because then all you do is you just tell the court, okay, no problem. Give me a court order to go and get a medallion stamp guarantee. Medallion stamp guarantee is basically a notary for a negotiable instrument. It's that simple. So if you go and get,
I've never heard that before.
So if you go and get, the problem is that if you take a negotiable instrument into the bank and try to get a medallion stamp guarantee, they'll say you're a sovereign citizen. But if you have a court order to do it, at that point, what happens is it becomes a certified endorsement. And there's actually
I've never
section
seen
in
any of this stuff in like where someone shows like I beat my tickets like this. I've never seen it because
it just gets it just gets closed. There's no anything. There's no docket. They just close the case.
They just disappear. But
well,
what about when
they don't disappear? It's like proving a nothing. How do you prove a nothing? It's not even like people are like, oh, they fucking bury it all, and like, nah, not really. It's like you're just nothing happens. So how do you prove a nothing? That's all. It's like, it's not really like a. But the only way they can dishonor the instrument is that way, and then the handling for that particular dishonor would be, okay, give me a court order because otherwise the bank's going to call me a sovereign citizen. Give me a court order to get a medallion stamp guarantee on this negotiable instrument. I'll go get it done. I'll bring it back to you in a few days. Once you get the medallion stamp guarantee, it becomes a certified endorsement, and now they can't dishonor a certified endorsement. It's physically impossible. So so if you get a medallion stamp guarantee and you perform on the instrument before the due date, if you look at the rules of dishonor, it's physically impossible to dishonor the instrument. So now, once it's physically impossible to dishonor the instrument, what's the only thing left they can do legally? Apply as a payment. So you're forcing them into it.
We did a certificate of dishonor on an actual lawsuit, and the judge didn't even, we're not to the appeals part, but the last appeals that we dealt with, they wanted $3,000. Because you got to pay for an appeal. You don't just it's not.
Well,
free.
You're not the one. You wouldn't be the one. Why are you writing a notice of dishonor? You wouldn't be the one writing a notice of dishonor. It would be the person entitled to enforce the instrument.
It was a notary. It was a notice of dishonor from the notary. And when it was filed
a notary
in the case,
protest.
Yeah.
To me, I don't see any point in that because the thing is that if you look at the rules of dishonor, you can't really, as the receiver, as the agent on behalf of the drawee, you can't really dishonor the instrument because if you look at the rules of dishonor, it would be like there is no endorsement. There is no endorsement. So how would you dishonor an instrument if there's no endorsement on it? That you can't. And then if you dishonored it for it being past the due date, that doesn't make any sense because you're the one who received the unconditional order to pay. You can't really. So a notice of dishonor would be from the drawer, which would be the person entitled to enforce. It'd be the person who issued the bill. That'd be the person who would be issuing a notice of dishonor. The drawee wouldn't really issue a notice of dishonor.
So all the tickets you beat with this style. That's how you fight them, and that's how you defeat them through. No.
I mean, I don't think of it so much as what works. Yeah, of course it works. We do this kind of shit all the time, but that's not how I think of things. The way I think of things is just what does it say in the law? Like I'm going to follow the law because the thing is that I'll be in court or something and it's like, no, this is what the law says. Like, I don't know what the hell you're doing. So when you write up something like a notice of dishonor, they won't tell you any of this stuff. They won't tell you, oh, you can't do a notice of dishonor because you're the drawee. It's for the drawer, right? They'll just ignore it and pretend that it never happened. That's kind of how they play the game. They play the game like once you know the game, they'll follow the rules. But if you don't know the game, they're not going to fucking tell you the rules.
Yeah.
It's actually really that simple, right? So when you get the unconditional order to pay and you negotiate that instrument, which means to put an endorsement on it and prepare it for assigning, transferring, or redeeming, and you send it back or tender it back to the person entitled to enforce the instrument, what's cool about that too is that it comes off in court as good faith. You're just trying to make a payment. That now they are preventing me from making a payment, which is illegal.
All by using the signature and just
it all comes down to the endorsement,
and sending it back. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's kind of like what David Straight says. He says, sign it sideways, send it back, and it all goes away.
Well,
but
no,
he
doesn't talk about because when you look up the way an endorsement is done, you have a special endorsement, qualified endorsement, blank endorsement, so a lot of the stuff that people are writing on these things is totally irrelevant. It's not even real. It's not even real endorsements.
So it has to be a specific verbiage.
Well, no, it doesn't have you endorse
the fucking
anything.
Endorsement, dude. Look, I'll show you right now. It's like there's nothing. There's nothing to fucking.
Because I tried stuff like this and
around.
It wasn't very successful for my, So what I decided, I was like, well, what if I have to go to court? And if I got to go to court, then I better know how to do everything that they do, how they do it, so that I could get it all. So I know what they're talking about. I know when I'm filing. I know when they're cheating. I know when to object. And that was what I really thought was most important. Because then if you have to say you get screwed over by your boss and you got to sue them, you're not going to special endorse your boss. You're going to go in there and you're going to sue them. You're going to take them to court. If you don't have the money to, hire someone, and most people who want to stand up for themselves want to learn this so they could do it themselves. So I wanted to do it from a position where we know how to file everything. So I study that. That's kind of like because that's what I want to know. I want to know how the state national stuff mixes with that. And that's why when I hear people about the endorsements, it's not that I'm against it. I'm just very I don't know. Because I've tried things and I've seen people try stuff, but I've never seen someone say look, I knock out all my tickets like this. I signed this way. I special endorse it. And then if they don't like it, I sue them federally and it drops. But that seems
well. I just go off the law. If they don't want to follow the law, then I go to appeals. If they don't want to follow the law, which I haven't gone that far. I'm in appeals now in 2 cases. About ready to be a third actually. Then we'll go to the Supreme Court, and I'll just keep doing that over and over again until people start following the law. There is no. It doesn't work. That is not even a part of my. It's not a part of my vocabulary. Is it the law or is it not the law? If it is the law, I'm going to break every motherfucking door and building and window and burn everything to the fucking ground from here until the end of the earth until people start following the law. It's very simple.
When is the estimation of your appeal?
I know. I was like, I like that too.
There is no does it work? There is no, because you also got to think when you have the does it work attitude, you're sort of sitting there waiting to hear from the judge, what's he gonna say? I don't ever wait from the judge. I'm like, are you gonna follow the law or not? If you're not, we're going to appeals. Goodbye. And I'm gonna write a complaint because you're not following the law.
That opens the possibility of you believing that you can lose. Why would it work or not work if it's the law? Exactly. There is no possibility of it not working because these people are violating our rights if it doesn't work.
Exactly.
What are the 3 cases you have, Brandon, that would be going to appeal?
It's all on my website, williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com. One, it's current and previous litigation page. It has all the cases that I'm either working, my cases, clients' cases, everyth's on there. Appeals cases, federal cases.
So what
state
is
cases.
that? What is that website? Is it how is it a law? So are you a lawyer or?
So I'm an attorney in fact, and the law firm is legally located in the nation of the Amnesty Coalition.
What does that mean? Because I'm not saying it. I just don't know what it means. Okay, so attorney in fact, and did you get your bar card, or does that mean you just?
No, bar card is attorney at law.
Okay, so attorney at law bar card, attorney in fact is just someone
private.
Who learns.
If you look up the definition of attorney, it literally says a public attorney is an attorney at law. A private attorney is an attorney in fact. So when you're actually interfacing into the courtroom, for example, for a hearing or an appearance or whatever, that would be public. Anything outside of the court, like a meet and confer or discovery or private meetings that are outside of the court, that would all be private.
And you're able to work with people in a sense? I know you can't go there in person for them, but you can help them file and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because the thing is that I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm not a resident of the state of California, and the law firm itself is a private irrevocable trust located only and exclusively in the nation of the Amnesty Coalition. So it's not operating under the laws of, it wasn't born in, and it's not naturalized into the nation called United States or the nation called State of California.
So is this what you teach,
That's so
Brandon?
cool.
Is it so like if someone was just discovering you for the first time, this is a guy, the legal aspect of what you're talking about, this is what you teach, or do you kind of go through like the whole process of becoming a state national as well?
Well, I kind of do all the above, but a lot of the stuff is kind of broken off into various subsectors, and it kind of changes because it's a continual. I'm continually digging, and we have a lot of other people who are doing stuff and digging, and a lot of experimentation and stuff like that. So
you're an experimenter. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know too much because everybody I hear about with the endorsements, I'm telling you, the people that email us about stuff, I don't want to say anything that would be negative towards, because I think you're doing great work, but we've had people hit us up about doing where they get stuff taken off. Like one guy was like, I got my house paid off, and they did like an endorsement, but he said, he didn't specifically say, but it took him like 10 years to come back around to the movement because of the repercussions that came from it. And he didn't really say if he went to prison or not, but he said he was like harassed for it for a very long time for what he did. And we couldn't figure out, like, is he insinuating jail? And we didn't ask him either, but we've had a couple people like with other stuff too, without saying anything. Yes. And we were like, what the fuck? And these are people that we knew.
Because they manufacture paper checks and they place Federal Reserve bank and accounting numbers on those manufactured checks. I've done research into all these cases. So every single time someone's gone to jail for quote unquote promissory notes or bills of exchange, that's why. But the thing is that you can only make that big of a fuck up because you don't understand anything about
like what you're actually doing. Yeah, definitely. So, if y'all are going to do that, you better understand and fully comprehend.
So I'll give you guys the full rundown here. It's pretty simple. Right, I just made this flow chart is like a week old. This is basically the full breakdown of all my research in the subject, right? So
put my glasses on.
If you go to UCC 3-104, it defines what a negotiable instrument is. It's only two different things. That's all it is. It's either an unconditional promise to pay, which is called a note in the UCC. It's called a note, or an unconditional order to pay, which in the UCC is called a draft. Outside of the UCC, an unconditional order to pay is typically called a bill of exchange. But in the UCC, it's not called a bill of exchange. It's called a draft. So if you're using the UCC to try to get enforcement, you wouldn't use the term bill of exchange necessarily. You would use the term draft. If you're using Title 12 of the United States Code to try to get enforcement, you wouldn't use the word draft. You would use the word bill of exchange. But both a draft and a bill of exchange is still an unconditional order to pay. So you could just say unconditional order to pay instead, and that would cover all various terms. Okay. So there's a little bit different rules depending on a note or a draft. So I have examples of a note would be like when you sign a traffic ticket, it's a note if you sign it, it's a draft if you didn't. Because if you didn't sign it, it's an unconditional order. If you signed it, it's an unconditional promise. Okay? Are you promising to perform or are you being ordered to perform? That's what makes it fall into one of these two categories, right? Loan promissory notes, every single time you use your credit card, you are producing an unconditional promise to pay, which is by definition currency. Federal Reserve notes obviously are blind. Federal Reserve notes are obviously, I'm right here, are obviously notes. They fucking says note right in it, right? Mm-hmm. All currencies that have a central bank in their country are all promissory notes, right? The entire currency is all promissory note currency. Yeah. Insurance policies are also promissory notes. They actually take the policy itself when you sign it. They swap the value of that policy, which is a promissory note, at the Federal Reserve discount window, or they sell the policy. That's how they actually fund the policy. You actually fund your own insurance policies. So there's two different ways that a note can get transferred, right? If you're the creator or the signer, it's called maker issuer, right? So the definition of maker from 3-1037 means a person who signs or is identified in a note as a person undertaking to pay. So because you sign, you're the maker, And if you look at the term, let's see, I think it's endorsement, means a signature other than that of the signer as maker, drawer, or acceptor. So a maker can't endorse the instrument, which is a huge breakthrough that I had to kind of that's what sparked me making this whole flow chart, right? So when you first create the a credit card transaction, or when you first create any sort of like promissory note for a car or a mortgage, you're actually the maker, right? So you can't actually endorse the instrument yet. So one of the things I developed was you can sign as the representative of what's called the represented person, which is all UCC3 terminology. It's literally exact terminology from UCC3. For example, as the maker, you could do by name, representative, for sole proprietorship, represented person, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what happens is when you do it this way, as per UCC 3-402B1, what happens is that when you sign this way, whoever is the representative loses all liability on the note. So if you do it this way, then Williams, Brandon, Joe, representative, that individual has absolutely no liability to pay the note. So what you're doing is you're pushing all liability and eliminating all assumptions that you as the man is liable on the note, and you're clearly stating that only the sole proprietorship as a person is liable on the note.
So who pays for it?
At that point, it would be the sole proprietorship's responsibility, not yours.
But what if you're the sole proprietor?
Well, that's what I'm working on now, because in a sole proprietorship, they say that you as the man are responsible for the debts of the sole proprietorship. But I've been doing a lot of digging on that, and that only applies to federal income tax. And that whole idea is based off the 16th Amendment. So it's an assumption. It's an assumption that all debts, in fact, as far as I can tell from the research that I've been currently doing, even within the statutory system, the only debt that would actually apply under the sole proprietorship would be federal income tax liability, not other debts.
I'm blind, bro. Okay.
So then after you make or issue the note, at that point, you're going to request a payoff sheet or some kind of unconditional order to pay. And then that's now what you're going to get in the mail is now an unconditional order to pay, which has different rules. Once you get the unconditional order to pay in the mail, you become the holder, and now the holder can endorse the instrument.
So, okay, I just want to see who's losing here. Like, is this like for a car payment? Is it for like a
everything
mortgage?
So examples of unconditional orders to pay is a traffic ticket, a parking ticket, a tax bill, utility bill, credit card bill, court order or judgment, a check. So the definition of check is pretty cool. So a check is you already have a draft, and then you add banking information onto the draft. So a check is both a draft and a check. If you take a check from your checkbook and tear with your fingers very carefully or cut the routing and account number off of your check, you no longer have a check. It's just a draft now. Well, if you tape that shit back onto it, now it's a draft and a check.
But what if you own the car dealership?
What do you mean?
Like, what if it's you on the other side of this?
The dealership, it makes no difference. The dealership makes no difference.
How do they get paid if you're not paying for it?
You are paying for it because the note is cash.
No, but like, how do they actually get the cash?
So it works exactly the same as they won't notice anything different in the dealership. So
they're still going to get the same amount of money because they're double doing the books with the ledger system. Like
the dealership just takes the instrument after you sign it and just sends it off registered mail to God knows where, and then they get a wire like a few days or a week later. That's
just from your signature. Who sends them that money? This is where I'm like confused, because I wonder, like, if I'm the car dealership, how is that fair?
So it's very simple. So the way it works is it's called the Federal Reserve Discount Window.
So Brandon, let me ask you a question real quick before you go any further. So you use this method right now for, do you not pay your utilities where you live?
I'm in federal litigation about that as we speak, and it's probably going to wind up going to state court. I'm not too sure about that yet.
That's like, don't you feel like that's kind of like a welfare state? Like, I feel like, yeah, we shouldn't be paying all these corrupt taxes, and we should try to kick out the 22 million people that the government's funding through the corruption of the Federal Reserve. But I don't know about doing things like this, because I could just see myself on the other side, and I'm like, I don't know how it feels like it's the way we're supposed to.
So
let me explain the rest of it to you.
Okay.
I'm not here to get into ideas or morals or ethics. Like my job is just to understand the fucking thing I'm inside of. That's all I want to know, right? I don't all the morality and ethics stuff that can come later. We can figure all that out. How can we have an ethical position towards something if we don't at least understand what it is? Even though maybe it's bad, maybe it's good, but until we understand what the fuck it is.
Well, as long as it's the government and not the individual business that's being hurt. You know, if it's the individual, that sucks. If it's the government, well, they're screwing everyone, so who cares? So I could see that.
Well, here, I'll show you this. You can actually go and you can see, if you type into Google, a Federal Reserve discount window, master access and services database, you can see all existing access for every single federal credit union and bank in the country that has access to the Federal Reserve discount window. Typically, the Federal Reserve discount window is accessed in two ways. We have the Fed wire system.
But how does that give them money? It just
I'll show you.
Okay.
So we have Fed wire, and then we have Fed now, which is the new one that they're trying to transfer everything over to. Right.
That's just how they move money amongst the governments, right?
So the window, so swapping things at the window happens through either Fed wire, which is the old system that's been around forever, or Fed now, which is for smaller transactions and it's faster. Okay. So all these various, so let's say, for example, you're going to sue American Express. You would just type in American Express National Bank. You'd go to submit, and you don't need to find out in discovery if American Express National Bank has access to the Federal Reserve discount window, because you've just now found all of the evidence that you need to verify that here, so you don't need it in discovery, right? So now what you're going to do is, what they're doing is they're taking the original unconditional promise to pay that you sign, and what they're doing is they're going to the window with it, right? And I'll show you some examples of what they're writing on these things. And you guys can get your own mortgages and get copies of your promissory notes, and you're going to see something like this.
Okay.
Without recourse, pay to the order of Rocket Mortgage LLC, whatever, blah, 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 by signature, and then a person's name, and then their title, right?
Okay.
If for some reason you don't see this on the document, you might need what's called an allonge. This is what an allonge looks like. An allonge is a piece of paper or document attached to a promissory note or bill of exchange that contains the endorsement information, because there wasn't room on the original promissory note or draft to place the endorsement on the original document. Here we have the original document, which is typically what you see. You don't see a lot of allonges, right? So there's another allonge, but this is typically what you're going to see, something like this. And it's just a stamp, and it's usually on the last page where there's a big blank area. If they send you a copy of your promissory note and it doesn't have this endorsement on it, you will want to call them again. Or if you're doing a FOIA request or something like that, you want to call them again and you want to say, no, I want the one that actually went to the window or was actually exchanged. I need to see the actual endorsement on the instrument, right? Here's another example. Here's another example. So what's happening is the process of how this works is at 12 U.S.C. 412. It's a very simple process, okay? It's called application for notes. And this comes from the Federal Reserve Act, Section 16, Part 2. Basically what it is it says right here, so it's an application, right? An application for Federal Reserve notes. Such application will be accompanied with a tender to the local Federal Reserve agent of collateral in amount equal to the sum of Federal Reserve notes thus applied for and issued pursuant to such an application. Now, this is where it gets
collateral.
Well, they tell you right here. The collateral security thus offered shall be notes, drafts, bills of exchange, or acceptances.
So just the paper.
So the paper, the original promissory note that you signed for your mortgage, they stamp this endorsement on it, They take it to the window and they write an application for notes, and the collateral security that they give the Federal Reserve in exchange for those Federal Reserve notes is your original note.
Okay.
And then they do that through FedWire or through FedNow, and then they're getting into the Federal Reserve discount window, right? So the agreement that allows a bank or a federal credit union to do these swaps is called the OC10 agreement. And you can see the OC10 agreement, I think, right here. Most of the OC10 agreement is just talking about what you can and can't do with the promissory note after it's been collateralized. You essentially hold the promissory note in perpetuity on behalf of the Federal Reserve. So then people always ask me, they go, okay, Brandon, if they're going to the Federal Reserve discount window and they're taking the original note and they're endorsing it and they're swapping it for Federal Reserve notes, then that means they have to pay back the Fed on the Federal Reserve notes, correct? Incorrect. The reason why is because you can see on every single one of these endorsements, they always use the phrase without recourse. And this is banks doing this, without recourse, without recourse. Without recourse. What is without recourse?
So they get the money, and then they want us to pay back, and what we're used to paying back is actually double, because that's what everybody teaches, right?
Read this.
Legal term that means only one party has legal claim against another party.
One party has no legal claim against another party.
I'm all missing.
So we have no legal claim against the banks.
No, the bank has the bank doesn't need to repay the loan.
Oh, okay.
A formula used to disclaim responsibility for future non-payment, especially of a negotiable financial instrument.
How could it be that way, though?
So what they're doing, hold on. So what they're doing is they're going to the window and they're saying, we're going to give you this original collateral security, but that's all we're going to give you. We're never going to give you anything else forever. And what does the Federal Reserve say? Fine.
Because they're good for the national debt. Well, that's how they pay for the whole border invasion. And I mean, this seems pretty damn interesting. When I've seen your stuff, this is what everyone's using to get the cars, like this type of special endorsement thing. And I mean, I see a lot of people getting them. The only thing is they just have to go to court and be able to
there's a lot of people who they call up and they're like, hey, I need a bill. Can you send me a bill? And they're like, we don't even have an account for you. So there's a lot of things happening. There's so many. So there's so many stories all over the board. There's no pattern to it at all whatsoever.
I'm very
all
curious
over the place
to see how that plays out. I mean, not like, I think I'm glad everyone's like trying to stand up and do something, and I'm glad it's falling against the Federal Reserve and not against like.
Well, you got to realize that when you understand how to endorse and you understand how to negotiate instruments, everything operates under this: parking tickets, IRS bills, state tax bills. So the thing is that like I used to use the conditional acceptance a long time ago. I don't anymore. What's the point? You can pay for everything instantly. Why even argue about it?
I don't even use that. Gwen just said that.
If you do without recourse and you send it in, without recourse, if you write, like, let's say you get a parking ticket and you write without recourse on it, you put pay to the order of City of Glendale without recourse by, sign it, Brandon Joe Williams, drawee. Or it wouldn't be the drawee because the drawee can't endorse the instrument. It would be like agent, right?
Would you sign
when you send it
all caps name or using your private upper lower case?
It doesn't even really matter, honestly. It's irrelevant. I mean, you could put whatever the fuck you want on it because let's say, for example, they added some interest to it or they add additional charges to it. Once you write without recourse on it, that's it. It kills the ticket forever. They can't add any new. Without recourse is literally, I'm never, ever going to pay on this at all. And anything that wasn't paid by this is not my responsibility. And if they come after you after receiving a without recourse endorsement, then you would sue them for breach of contract. You would sue them for peonage. You would sue them for, there's a bunch of UCC3 stuff you can sue them for. So you would actually sue the court in the Court of Federal Claims. Or whatever, and you would sue them for basically it's like you pay your utility bill and then now they're harassing you to pay your utility bill. It's the same thing.
Even though my situation isn't with the endorsement or anything, technically couldn't I get the judge and the prosecutor and the clerk on that? Because what happens is they've let my notice of pending lawsuits go unrebutted, and inside those affidavits it says that this becomes the contract that you're consenting to and agreeing to, and in that contract that they consented to either retrain all of the cops in Texas and dismiss my case and pay the invoice, or
all you need is all you need to do is just request from the court an unconditional order to pay, which is a judgment. Just say take everything I owe you and make a judgment out of it, and I'll pay it. And then the court issues an unconditional order to pay.
They've already dismissed their case.
Yeah, Jesus. I'm going after their individual bonds because they violated my rights. So they've already dismissed it after like 6 months of me fighting and like $900 of me fighting the tickets and everything, of me having to send paper.
I don't think they violated Gwen. Gwen just says that. She says that. I tell her, like, I don't think they violate you because they dismissed your case. I was like,
the bottom line is you just got to learn the game. When you learn the game, the cops don't stand a chance because they don't know anything. They don't even know the definition of a motor vehicle. Yeah, so they don't. Cops don't stand a fucking chance. People are angry at cops. It's like being angry at like a crippled Pomeranian. It's irrelevant. You know what I mean? It's like
they don't know. I have some friends that are cops. They don't know, and they're just doing what they're trained to do. Is the thing. And Gwen was. Did you even have plates on? Why'd they pull you? Oh,
I
speeding.
did.
They pulled her over.
Of course.
They pulled her over for speeding. But Gwen did have a gun on her, and she was underage for Texas.
Yeah, I was 20.
To have a handgun, you're supposed to be 21. Even though like child trafficking or female trafficking is pretty high, they let her go. They didn't do anything about it.
One of the
I
cops
think
tried
all
to
this
get
stuff
me.
is good. But what about the people coming in? Like, this doesn't prevent the corruption of printing the money, funding Ukraine. That's why I feel like I really think it's cool what you're doing. I really subscribe to like the picture where people are like, okay, I get my constitution and I want to do this. Like, the stuff you're doing with the endorsement is unique, but I don't know how much time is underneath it to be willing to risk litigation to where it could be. Because if they find any type of intent and you're like, but I was following the law, and I don't know, I kind of
the big difference is people manufacture international bills of exchange that that's you don't need to do that.
But
they're sending you
the people who print money.
No, they're sending you bills of exchange. I understand that, but the thing is that they get you on things that are actually illegal. If you get a parking ticket, see what people are doing is this is actually a really old currency from way back in the Civil War days, right? So let's say this is a parking ticket and it's stuck on my window, right?
Okay.
What people do is they go over here and they manufacture a check and they put checking information on the check, and then they mail that with the original parking ticket back to the court, right? It's illegal and it's stupid and it's fucking totally unnecessary. The original ticket itself is an unconditional order to pay. You already have a negotiable instrument right here. Why are you creating another negotiable instrument, violating laws to do it? Because you're putting weird account numbers on it, which is getting people in trouble. That's irrelevant. You don't need to create fucking anything. In fact, if you create it, you become the maker or issuer, and you can't negotiate the note. This is perfect. They already gave you the unconditional order to pay. You can negotiate the original unconditional order to pay. You don't need to manufacture anything. And that's what I'm doing is so unique because no one's ever done this before.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I do want to applaud you because you're the most knowledgeable person on this topic that I've ever heard speak. So
I've never seen
King
people
Pickle
know so much
Fuck
about
and
the
His
endorsement.
Excellency. Good job.
So this original bill of exchange in Title 12 or draft in the UCC, you can literally hand write. I'll show you UCC 3-114. So you have an unconditional order to pay. Let's say a parking ticket, right? Well, what do I do with it? Do I need a stamp? What do I do? UCC 3-114 gives you the answer. It's so simple, right? Simplest thing in the world. If an instrument contains contradictory terms, typewritten terms prevail over printed terms, handwritten terms prevail over both, and words prevail over numbers. That's why on a check, you have to write the figures and words. you write $900, and then you also write NINEHUNDRED, right? The reason why is because you can write that right on. So you're going to write the endorsement. You just take a pen and you're just going to write an endorsement. They all look the same. You can write the same exact endorsement the banks use without recourse. Pay to the order of City of Glendale by Brandon Joe Williams, agent.
What have you done with this? Like, how have you gotten how many cars or bikes have you gotten using this endorsement stuff?
Tons.
You've gotten tons?
I've gotten all my friends' cars, a bunch of my friends, but you see all the ones.
I
see all the ones on the thing. Right?
I see them. But what I was curious about you, like,
I told Kenny, I was like, well, he's a guy.
Because I know you have a Triumph. I saw it, right?
It was a motorcycle.
I didn't use this method on the Triumph because I wanted to get the MCO, and you can't get the MCO doing an endorsement.
Oh yeah.
Because it's technically still financed, right?
Yeah.
You could probably have them hold the MCO for you for a while until this whole thing blows over, but it could be like a long process. So I just paid cash for the bike.
Yeah.
And then I got the MCO.
And then you use this on your utilities and you're in litigation.
Utilities. I used it on the Amex. I use it.
Wait. So if you can't get the MCO with the endorsement process, who actually owns the car still?
So it's a bit of a complicated situation because when you write without recourse and you do this kind of process, basically the entire car or bike or house or whatever it is fully paid off by the time they receive the parcel that has the endorsement, right? And there's a lot of additional research. Like, for example, when you start researching court cases from the 1800s as regards to like after they accept an endorsed instrument, and then they reject the instrument, what are the laws associated with that? And kind of one of the things they talk about a lot in the cases and stuff like that is they talk about how the intent of the instrument and the negotiation has to be clear. And they talk about in the court cases about a cover sheet, and the cover sheet has to have an intent or clarification as to what exactly you're trying to do. So if you have a cover sheet and it says the intent, I am the agent on behalf of the drawee. So the all caps name is the one who owes, right? The all caps name would be the drawee, and the drawer is the person who you're going to be paying, right? So you don't even need to send off the fucking sovereign citizen bells. You don't call it a franchise or an all caps name. You just call it the drawee. Hello, I am the agent on behalf of the drawee, and I have endorsed the instrument with a special and qualified endorsement, and you will see that enclosed. Please transact this endorsement as per UCC 3-311 and UCC 3-3603 subsection B, which basically says that once they receive the instrument, they only have two options. They can either dishonor the instrument as per the rules of dishonor, which we already talked about earlier in the show, 3-502, or they have to, by law, apply it as a payment. And then if you look at UCC 3-603B, it says that if they don't do any of that, then you now have basically a cause of action for breach of contract. So you're going to sue them for breach of contract they have to either dishonor the instrument or apply the instrument as a payment, right? If they don't do either one, you're going to sue them for breach of contract because they had to do one or the other. They didn't have any other option, right? But from the court cases that I've studied, the only time you're going to be able to do that successfully is if there was some kind of a cover letter that clearly and openly communicated the intent of the instrument when you sent it in.
Well, my question is if they go ahead and they accept it and it gets all paid off with the special endorsement, you're still not able to get the MCO as the actual owner of the car, or who still owns the car after they accept the special endorsement after it's all paid off and they've received it. Yeah. So who actually owns the car?
It's a little bit, I don't know, because I had the general manager of the place that I went to told me he has all the MCOs for everything upstairs. But if you go on the DMV website, they say right on the website that you have to have the MCO sent into the state in order to get a certificate of title. So I don't even think the people that are doing this even know the answer to your question.
Yeah.
I know the legal answer to your question, but like in reality, what's really going to happen is different than what's actually legal because nobody has a fucking clue about any of this. Even
So
the DMV.
let me ask you a
The
question.
DMV issued me a fucking certificate of title. And I totally freaked out and sent them a letter. I said, you guys need to fucking destroy this immediately. And they did. They destroyed everything. So the thing is that they illegally manufactured a security they don't even have the MCO for. I mean, I will probably do some very heavy litigation for that. The problem is you have to prove damages. So it's like, was I really damaged by that? Well, it's like a felony, but them doing that. It's like a Title IX. It's like a UCC Article 9 kind of thing, like a secured, like it has to do with like secured parties and securities and that kind of thing, right? But, titles and certificate of title is really simple. I cover it in one of the videos of my free course. It's just, if you look up the definition of registered owner, which is, you guys probably know about this, your name in all caps is listed as the registered owner on your certificate of title. If we were to look up, I mean, we could do it right now. If we look up registered owner on Black's Law online, which was down for a long time, and it finally came back up again recently. It's so crazy. Registered owner legal definition, and you'll see Black's Law is back live, so we can use that one here. This is the definition of what's on your certificate of title. Registered owner is the owner whose name is recorded in a security issuer's registrars as the securities owner is entitled to receive dividend or interest and principal payouts. So what that means is the person who is going to be receiving the profits of using a motor vehicle in commerce.
Damn.
That's the definition of a registered owner.
Good one.
Gwen's
Yeah.
in commerce
Well,
all
wait.
the time.
What was Steve's question? Because I think he's tried to ask a question a couple times.
Oh no, I was just curious. So, would this methodology work for someone in my position? So, I bought a new truck 2 years ago, finance, make payments. So, for somebody in my position, would this process still be applicable, or is this something you'd have to do
At the
Right
time
off
of
the
purchase.
and right out of the gate when you go to buy the vehicle?
No. I used to think that it was an out the gate thing, but then when I found the whole maker issuer thing, you actually can't do it out the gate. It's actually better to do it on the back end. It's actually better to get a payoff sheet and then endorse the payoff sheet, right? I'll show you if we go back to the flow chart.
So you get it regular underneath your credit, you special endorse it, and then you ask for that payout sheet, and then you hit it out the park.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things I have on here, like on the bottom of my flowchart, remedies and useful information, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, consideration, we all know, I'm sure you guys know, consideration is, you have to have consideration in order to have a contract, right? So
That's right.
if you go to, like, for example, in UCC 3-305A13, it says right in there that there can be fraud that induced the obligor, which is the drawee, the person who's promising to pay, to sign the instrument with neither knowledge nor reasonable opportunity to learn of its character or its essential terms. You can use that to basically, essentially, what would be considered like dishonor the instrument or have a cause of action, something like that, right? And then there's also a section on consideration. Let me pull that one up. Consideration is 3-303B.
Brandon, how many cars have you personally done this with?
Like 2 or 3, but through friends.
So you've never personally done one with your own name, just like through friends.
Yeah.
And when you say cars, these are new vehicles that like they were like financed through a bank or through a credit union or through a dealership?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to show people this because if you're doing anything like this, you better know litigation. This is the cheapest book for litigation, and it's $25 and it's fire. It's very cheap. I've taken expensive classes on litigation and all kinds, and this little cheap book right here drops hammers on litigation. And if you do anything, it's good. It's good to do it. The Be Your Own Lawyer class is okay.
I like that class. I like the jurisdictionary class.
This book, it's like the jurisdictionary class.
This book is better than the jurisdictionary class. and it's cheap. It's $25.
Yeah, no,
and
you don't
the
have to
whole
renew
last
every year.
on my
I do
free
like
contract.
I like
killer
the
course,
class too.
On my free contract killer course, the last like 6 videos of the course are all litigation based, how to build evidence.
I was going to
FOIA
ask
requests.
you how do you help support people with litigation? Because it seems like a lot of your stance is really cool and very unique. I must applaud you. But people, you probably support them in litigation because it is possible that what you do, you could end up in litigation. And I know you seem like a genuine guy, so I know you wouldn't want people in trouble. So you must have like litigation help that you also offer. I know you have the law firm and maybe that's it, but I feel like if you're offering the contract killer course, and you probably have in your contract killer course litigation info, right?
Yeah, of course. And litigation,
like,
we specialize. If you go on my website, I'll show you in a minute, but let me finish this real quick. So
okay.
Consideration, it's built right into UCC3, means any consideration sufficient to support a simple contract. The drawer or maker of an instrument has a defense if the instrument is issued without consideration. You are the drawer or maker when you first bring that promissory note into existence. So if you look up a lot of old court cases, and it's funny because if you go on to Google Scholar, that's where you're going to start looking at your court cases. It's really nice, actually. You go to Google Scholar, and you're just going to click here where it says case law, and then you can pick what courts you want, and then you're just going to type in a bill of exchange or whatever it is that you want to look for, right? And then you're going to go to different courts.
Mm-hmm. I can tell
select
you
courts. You can do clear all, and then you want to go to just the Supreme Court, right? Hit done. Now it's going to say here, we've got bill of lading, bills of exchange. You're going to open up this one here. And then this is the judgment that came out of this court case. This court case is from probably like the 1800s. Most of these, 1875, right? And then you're just going to use the find feature, and you're going to type in the word exchange. And then you're just going to go down and you're going to look at, there's only 9 places where they talk about bills of exchange. And this is how you're going to build out your case law to win your cases and to get, because the problem with negotiable instruments is that they're everywhere and everything is a negotiable instrument, and literally nobody in the entire society has any clue about any of it, including the judges.
I didn't think they allowed cases beyond 1938 because of the new like equity with the railroad that they don't allow Supreme Court case law from. But also,
to my knowledge, it's not true at all.
I've never gone in and dealt with that to know for a fact. So I'm not like, oh, I know, I don't know.
So the defendant literally has the word exchange in the name. So there's really only a few places in this whole judgment where they talk about bills of exchange, but they'll talk about, exchangeability. They'll talk about endorsements. They'll talk about negotiability. They'll talk about like they tendered to the person, like not the person entitled to enforce the instrument, but they tendered something. And then like they use a lot of the same terminology you're going to find in UCC3, even in the 1800s. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, is I'm sort of building a lot of case law and looking up a lot of cases and stuff from the 1800s to try to build out as much of this as I can with case law and stuff like that. So,
it's pretty unique.
So I have another question. So like we have a strict thing. We don't teach anything that we don't personally do ourselves, right? So like why don't you have a new Corvette if you believe and teach this to other people? Why haven't you used it for yourself? Like why did
I do use it. I used it on $177,000 of American Express debt. I use it on that.
Oh shit!
So I have done that, and I can show you.
That's really
kind of what happened.
How do you get 100?
So this is what I was sent when I started doing that.
Where does
this is what I was sent. You can read this right here. This is what I was sent when I started.
Well, it says Israel. Did they take your house too, or how's that go?
This is a long time ago, though.
Shardle?
This is yeah, isn't that funny? Shardle is the name, right? So they say here, dear Mr. Williams, and this is over $177,000 in American Express credit card debt, right?
How do you get a credit card for that much? Did you endorse that too?
No, that was I was American Express. I was working with them for 4 years. I had accounts on multiple businesses. So
these are business accounts. That's why they're so high.
So Sessions, Israel and Shardle LLC represents Alltrend Financial LP regarding the issues in your September 16, 2022 letter. I didn't know when I wrote that letter, it was like kind of long, and I kind of knew some of this stuff a little bit, but it was kind of rambling, and it was kind of sovereign citizen, as you could say.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that gets mixed up in the old days that it's hard.
Well, I feel like we all start there. We're all confused and angry,
For
you know.
sure, dude.
So like I think I was pretty confused and angry, but I had some of the pieces sort of kind of about this stuff, but like not even remotely what I've talked about in this show. So you can see that even just having like a couple pieces, you can see what happened, right? Relating to your American Express account placed with Altran for collection.
Has made the business decision.
While Altran denies any and all alleged wrongdoing, Altran has made the business decision to cease collections of the account. Altran did not credit report the account. So there's never been any legal action on $177,000, right? And I'm actually suing them. So
what
if you
about
go on
student
to student loans are the best place to learn this stuff and to like do like a little testing ground with this stuff because
you got some student loans, Steve?
Well, listen, I got 19,000 left on my Tacoma, and I got student loans.
Student loans are great because they can't do anything. They can't take anything from you. There's no collateral.
Are you gonna try it, Steve?
Well,
I'll watch.
But what I'm proposing is, Brandon, what if we were to do something jointly together, and we use my student loans as
an example?
Well, I'm already doing it. I'm already doing a whole bunch of these. So this is, if you guys are unfamiliar with Pacer and Court Listener and all that kind of stuff, right? So these are all my cases that I have going on with either clients or my own, right? So if we go down to American Express, case number 4, you can go down to what's called a recap, which is just Pacer spelled backwards. So the way that recap works is it's this little, you can see in my browser, it's this little extension, recap. So recap is basically whenever I download anything off of Pacer, Pacer is, you know, the main place where you can go and look up any court case and you can download docket items. Once you download a docket item, if you have the recap extension in your
have the
Google,
recap.
then it automatically goes into what's called Court Listener, which is the free law project, which is called Recap. So it's so cool. And you can scroll down. This is the entire docket that you would normally see in Pacer. But if you get it from Pacer, it costs 10 cents per page to download. And you can see here, buy on Pacer, buy on Pacer. These exhibits were not, nobody's ever bought these on Pacer. But once anyone downloads anything from any docket while having the recap extension on their browser, it turns to blue, and then now it is officially for free for anyone to download. So you can actually go through my entire Amex case. February 26, 2024. You can see my complaint. You can see the attachments. You can see summons. You can see when I filed in that they had been served. You can see their responses. You can see the orders. You just click the blue button, and boom, you get an instantaneous original docket item. So you can go through the whole case A to Z, and you can see everything that's happened, motion for relief, proposed orders. You can see everything totally free of charge. You don't need a login or anything all the way to the end. And then you see me filing in for a notice of appeal to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And then I paid for it here. So appeals are technically separate cases. So you would go into this document or this docket or whatever, and you would find the appeals court case number, and you can actually go into Pacer and you can pull up all the appeals docket items too.
I pulled up a bunch of people to see if they were legit through Pacer, and I figured it out. I don't talk about it.
Did you pull up yourself, Kenny?
I'm not in the federal Pacer case. But.
So if you guys want to see my my endorsement case that I have with my City of Glendale, you would go to complaint and you would do download PDF, right? So this is my entire complaint, right? And it goes over all the stuff I'm talking about. And then you can see the attachment is Exhibit A, and you guys can go down and you can see this is the response I got when I sent in the endorsed instrument, and then go down, and this is my cover letter, novation and tender of payment, right?
Okay.
And then you're going to go down farther, and you're going to see I don't manufacture bills of exchange. I just send back the motherfucking ones they send me.
And so
I don't want to go to jail. I'm not going to manufacture a bill of exchange. So I don't need to manufacture a bill of exchange. They gave me one already. It says fucking bill right on it. So there's my endorsement right there.
How How long till this settles? I am really curious about this.
Who knows?
I'm gonna text you until we find out. This is pretty wild because
No, this is very interesting.
I've never seen no one pull it through, and it's cool. It's still in litigation, but still, you did it. Like you.
Well,
took
this
it
reminds me of the real, actual version of like sending the silver coin and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
A for V,
Yeah.
all the A for V shit, all that shit, it's all bullshit because it's not. None of it's in
Dude,
UCC 3. None of it.
We
Not a
tried
fucking
some
word
of that
it.
shit, and none
Accounts
of it worked.
closed.
Yeah, we got closed. We got accounts closed for sending in silver before, and we were, by using Pacer, I was able to figure out a lot of different people.
So
go ahead.
This
No,
is
sorry.
all you
No,
need
no,
to
no.
do.
Go.
You've received a bill of exchange. If you're talking about Title 12, they call it fucking bill right here. Bill period.
Okay.
Bill date. It's a fucking bill of exchange, bro.
Municipal
So
bill
what do you
right
do-
above that.
What do you do with a bill of exchange? I mean, you can literally go in here and you can read my complaint and you can
Is
read
it-
the way I lay it out. Look, I'll read it to you. It's really simple, right?
Okay, let's go.
So we go
I
down.
Wait, real quick.
No, we're going to skip all that part.
She's
Here's-
all wait.
No,
Here
I
it
have
is,
to
right here.
go, and I want to say bye, only because it's.
Oh, you have
already
to go?
been- well, yeah,
'Cause
we
we
have
have
a
a
son
handicapped
downstairs,
son.
and he was starting to get upset, and I'm watching
Oh, okay.
him on the camera with my mom. So I just want to thank you so much for your time and.
Yeah, I
Hey,
got
amazing.
maybe like
Podcast and-
10
We'll
or
do some
15
more
minutes
shows.
left.
We'll do some more
I-
shows.
Yeah,
I was
No,
supposed to go
like, we
grocery
need
shopping
more
for like
episodes.
an hour ago.
But
Yeah,
I'll
no,
go
no,
over
we
this
should-
with you guys real quick, and then we can end
Yeah.
off the day.
Okay, thank you
let's
so
go.
much, Brandon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ash.
Bye-bye.
I'll just speed through this because I lost track of time. So general factual allegations. Point number 6. UCC 3-104 defines a negotiable instrument as, and then it's just a copy and paste of what 3-104 says. I'm not
Yeah.
telling them anything. I'm not manufacturing ideas.
It's just there.
Yeah.
I'm not. And then I go to the next one. UCC 3-204 defines what an endorsement is, and I paste the fucking doc. I'm not making anything up. I'm not arguing
yeah.
anything.
No,
I'm
You're
I like
taking their
pasting.
own language.
taking
I
their own
totally
language.
like it. I don't see anything.
UCC
wrong.
3-603 states if tender of payment of an obligation to pay an instrument is made to a person entitled to enforce the instrument and the tender is refused, comma, there is discharge to the extent of the amount of the tender. Meaning they can't refuse to apply as a payment. It's right in UCC 3-603 subsection B, right?
While your case is in linger with this, what utility is this? Is it water, electric?
All the above.
It's all of them.
Yeah.
So do you still have to pay while you're waiting for litigation?
I
or did
am
they, like-
because I'm not. I don't know the answer to that question. I am,
Yeah.
and it literally says in the important note at the top of the page. It literally says. Plaintiff will continue to send in extraneous, irrelevant, negotiable instruments called Federal Reserve notes, digitally or cash in person, to perform on this account. We'll work out this justiciable controversy in this most
That's,
honorable court.
I was curious. I was like, okay, so how's that?
He's like, actually, I have that answered right here, bam.
That is fucking
I
awesome.
was curious, dude. I was like, okay, so how
I
does
don't
it
want to
work
get
for-
my shit turned off and fight and like.
Dude.
So I want to litigate, but I also want to have the internet or my computer. So
I had a professional drummer that everybody knows the band he played in. We ended up making friends through doing the stuff I do, and he told me a way that he got out of his water bill by removing their meter. I was like, say what? He's like, yeah, I took off their meter and I put my own meter, and now that it's mine. And he was telling me like the case law that backed it. And what happened was his meter was located on his private property, so he just fenced it in and didn't allow him in. And then he switched his own meter, and it lasted for a year. And he's a professional, famous drummer, and it lasted a whole year. And he's like, obviously, I didn't do it for money because I could pay that shit like nothing. And he told me he just did it for fun, just to just to exercise his rights. And
my kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
I
right.
was like, all right, that's cool. I've talked to him a couple. He's done some pretty wild stuff,
He's
like
so
just for
funny.
standing up. And he has no reason to do it. He's just doing it just to do it. I wish I could share his name, but I don't have his permission. But maybe one day he'll.
We're
tell
under
me, "Oh, go ahead."
NDA with him, actually.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can't talk about it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Not for this particular thing. Steve's
So,
like, "Oh, yeah, I know."
Brandon, I'd like to
So real
talk
quick,
to you.
real quick. Let me just wrap this up, and then I'll.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, wrap it up.
So the next one is UCC 3-114 states. It's the one I already read to you. If an instrument contains, handwritten, it's
Contradict.
the best. The top tier is handwritten, And then this is the first time in the entire complaint where I write anything that isn't just a direct copy and paste. Unconditional promises and orders to pay are, by definition, currency, not money, which is clarified in UCC 3-102 subsection A, which literally says this article applies to negotiable instruments. It does not apply to money because money is gold and silver coins, right? Yeah. So then we have count one, breach of contract.
Scroll back up just a little bit to where you were. Okay, so for the no, just up a little bit more. For the handwritten or the typewritten, would typewritten be like a stamp?
No.
No, I think handwritten would be anything with your hand. Yeah, it'd be a typewriter or something like that. Because you got to think too that the original UCC, I think was published in 1952. So they still had typewriters and stuff, you know.
Okay,
So count one, breach of contract. The municipal bill, I'm just using their fucking words, bro. Like, I'm not making up anything, bro. This is what you guys fucking call this, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, in Exhibit A is an unconditional order to pay. And what's beautiful is if they say it's not, that means it's optional and I don't have to pay it. So I win either way.
I'm so curious. Keep me posted, dude.
We should use me as a guinea pig.
The attached series of novation orders instruments were unconditionally tendered as payment to the person entitled to enforce the instrument called City of Glendale. See Exhibit A. Important note, some information has been redacted on the attachments in black. The blue ink and red stamps are, quote, handwritten terms, end quote. Power of attorney has since been updated to a new version available on demand. Defendant accepted above qualified special endorsed negotiable instrument by delivery and became the subsequent holder. Defendant failed to perform and failed to dishonor the instrument in accordance with UCC 3-502. This is a breach of contract and violates both UCC 3-502 and UCC 3-603. The damage on this is unjustifiable and illegal failure to perform. Count two, breach of fiduciary duties. UCC 3-307 states, and it gives the definition of a fiduciary and a represented person. And it gives rules as to when fiduciary responsibilities are broken. I just copied and pasted it. I didn't put anything else in there. The person entitled to enforce the instrument failed to perform or dishonor or attempt to clarify the tender or processing of the instrument despite clear communication and orders to do so. The damages on this is that this gross default on the part of the defendant has made it impossible for the plaintiff to perform on the instrument. This damaged the plaintiff by causing confusion and anxiety over performance due to illegal failure to perform. Requested relief. A full refund of all Federal Reserve notes tendered on this account since the account's inception. Number two, $2,500 in negotiable instruments called Federal Reserve notes to cover the plaintiff's time and legal costs for having to file this lawsuit. This is the part where it gets really good. Three, a limited power of attorney signed on behalf of all caps Brandon Joe Williams registered trademark and Brandon Joe Williams and City of Glendale, permitting City of Glendale to endorse all past, present, and future unconditional promises and orders to pay using the following qualified special endorsement. So what that means is I never have to pay the bill again. Just don't ever fucking send me a bill ever again, forever.
But I mean, it's cool.
So you're giving them power of attorney to endorse all bill of exchanges. They don't even need to send you a bill of exchange.
Yeah.
They can literally just print it, endorse it, and then apply it as a payment. They don't need to mail me anything.
They say they have unlimited ability to print money. Might as well pay our bills better than paying Ukraine's bills.
Seriously.
You know?
And then here's a caveat, because you always want to be operating in good faith, which is defined in UCC 1-207, I think subsection 12 or something. The plaintiff is open to making the instrument payable to bearer in order to allow City of Glendale to have ease of negotiation, but only on the condition of it also being endorsed without recourse.
So you're legally protecting yourself without recourse.
Well, basically, if you put a special endorsement on it, then it's only payable to that one person. It makes it very hard for them to transfer it. It's like you can't take if I write a check, if I have a checkbook and I tear out a check and I write pay to the order of Steve. Steve can't sell that instrument to Kenny.
But our mortgages, auto loans are sold constantly.
Yes, because you failed to state the payee.
I got you.
If you put paid to the order of bearer, now you make it very easy to negotiate because they can just pass that bad boy around like a cheap, Vietnamese hooker. There is no.
Those are the best hookers, by the way.
Yeah, there is no restriction, right? So what I'm saying is if this is a pain in the ass for you guys, for it to be paid to the order of my name in all caps, I'm willing to go even a step farther to show good faith. I will allow you guys to endorse the instrument payable to bearer. That way you guys can move it around really easily. But
you're putting the onerous right back on them.
But only if it's also without recourse. Because then if it's without recourse, I don't give a fuck what you guys do with it. I'm never responsible for non-payment.
So you're giving them the option to fuck themselves once or twice, and they can do it without recourse.
3 hours.
That's correct.
Killed out 3 hours. I think it's cool. I really wish I could get the whole group together for litigation to stop chemtrails, food poisoning, and Federal Reserve. That's like our ultimate goal, and to teach them universal law. But I am not discrediting anything you're doing. I think it's pretty cool. I'm blind, so I was having a hard time reading it. But
it's fascinating. It's like
glasses.
When you go into this really deep, it is like the ultimate freedom, because the thing is that 99% of every area that you're oppressed is all financial. So the thing is that you can discharge anything you're given. Even like if I were to sue you civilly and I were to get a judgment for $70,000, even that's a motherfucking draft, bro.
I'm so curious to see how all your shit plays out, because I've been watching you. I've been watching.
So
you.
Brandon, for someone like myself who's just learning about this for the first time, how would somebody go about
in your situation? I wouldn't do anything with your truck. I would actually go for the student loans. And the reason why, I'll tell you why. The truck, they can come and take the truck. It's pretty simple. Which they may or may not do. It's all over the map what they do. I mean, we have situations where we have people literally calling in being like, what is happening with my bill? And they're like, dude, we have no fucking clue. We've never seen anything like this. There's like shit on your account that we've never fucking seen before. People logging in, it says they owe like $99 trillion. It's in red, like all this crazy shit, right? So the thing you have to realize is I think we finally figured it out. And figured it out, quote unquote, just means we finally took the time to read and understand what the law says, and we're applying what the law says. That's my version of figure it out. Is it in the law? If it's in the law, what are they going to do? So if you look at my lawsuits, all they're doing is like call me a sovereign citizen, freaking out and going, but they're not really defending the merits of the actual situation, because they know they can't, right? So the thing is that I've got all these guys on their back foot, right? And a lot of my cases are getting dismissed, and I'm going to appeals, and I'm learning a lot of the procedural stuff, and it's all new to me. So I'm not going to be winning cases overnight, okay.
Yeah, nobody is.
But
remember, we talked about a case. I called you. I was fighting grandma's case. I've been tearing their ass up for over a year.
Yeah,
that sounds very wrong. But go ahead.
It's fun. I'm not even gonna lie.
And call me next time.
You're all fun. It's exciting, because whenever you feel like you learn something that's really powerful when it has to do with litigation, you feel like knowledge really helps you feel free. I can't explain it, but helping grandma fight her case has really opened up my eyes, because I had to file everything all by myself, learn everything all by myself. And I had to sit there, and one time, because it's all about hearing aids. Her hearing aids don't work. That's why she's in litigation. And so one time she couldn't hear.
For hearing aid debt.
So I said something, and they said, "Excuse me, sir, speak up." So I had to put my name on the record and tell them who I was, and tell them, look, she's deaf. She can't hear you. So I'll relay anything, and we'll go from there. So I just spoke for her, because normally I give her printed out sheets, and she just reads what I said, and I file all her documents for her. And we did a really good a notary protest with the badass notary, and he filled out a certificate of dishonor. And what the judge did is she dismissed it completely, and it was legit, dude. But it doesn't matter, because it hasn't gone to appeals, because she could have just been violating our rights. And people should know, like, just because you lose a case don't mean shit. It doesn't matter until the fat mama sings, right? Until you go to appeals, and then you get denied. Then it's over.
Well, it's not. There's a 5% chance if you write a writ of statutory or whatever, then you can get into the Supreme Court. It's pretty rare because they have so many submissions.
Yeah,
they can only accept like 5%.
5%, yeah.
But there's always that possibility,
Could be you.
And you can also, let's say you go into federal court and you use federal statutes, and then it goes to appeals, and then you lose there, and then you go to the Supreme Court, and then they never pick it up. All you got to do is just find the state statutes. They're the same fucking thing. And then go file state statute claims that are technically different claims because they're not the same statute in state court. Now you're going to go to state appeals, and then now you're going to go to the state Supreme Court. So you actually really have 4 to 6 times up to bat. It really, my mindset is if you really, 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 really want to win, it's pretty impossible to lose. It just could take years. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's the truth.
This is a cheap ass book, I'm telling you. This cheap ass book right here. Look.
The Pro Se Litigants Civil Litigation Handbook.
I'm telling you, this cheap book is fire. I was like, dude, this thing, only because I had done the course with Jurisdictionary and I liked it. I read it multiple times, but when I read that book, I was like, look, this has missing pieces that, what's his name? His name's Dr. Graves. That's the lawyer that put together Jurisdictionary.
Well, Jurisdictionary, just in sheer volume of words, is not even remotely as much as that book, just in pure volume. But I'm sure it's great. I'm just saying, like, the Jurisdictionary course is pretty small. It's pretty short.
Yeah, it's short. Yeah. You can read it pretty fast if someone goes through it. But no, that's how I learned, from just reading stuff. And then filing the stuff. So people should try, because what if you do get violated by HOA, or what if, if you know the little small litigation stuff, it will help you realize how we're getting screwed when they say, hey, put your mask on. You're like, wait a minute. Hey, close your business down. Hey, we're going to invade your borders. Hey, we're going to send money to Ukraine. Ha, ha, ha. And then we don't realize, like, you're paying for that. When you go to the store and your milk's gone up to $10, it's not magic. It means they printed the money and gave it to some other dickhead. And
you can sue anybody, too. You can sue. I'm suing the SBA right now. I have a DOJ attorney, Mr. Farrell, on that case. It's all on my website. You could sue the Department of State for not issuing you a passport. You could sue sue banks. You can sue police stations. You can sue the city of Glendale. You can sue.
We need mass litigation, and we need mass education and litigation. I think if we did that, dude, that would unite people. Because once people are empowered with the truth and they're not using a leader, they're just, maybe they were inspired, but then they've acquired enough knowledge to where they're their own leader. That's when we'll shut down chemtrails. It's not gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna stop vaccines. No, you're not. No, you're not, bro. Oh, I've been suing people. No, you're in the same. They're all in the same families. People don't realize, like, he's just messing with you so that you can sleep on your rights and give up your power to him. Every politician, that's what they do. They nestle you up, make you feel all good, and then they don't do it, or they do a little bit of it, and then on the backside you get screwed twice as worse.
It sounds like you're talking about a prostitute.
That's the politicians. I am, actually. They sell themselves out, and
the problem is that nobody knows anything about anything. Because think about this: if everyone understood that a negotiable instrument is an unconditional promise or order to pay, and they understood that in order to manufacture an unconditional promise to pay as the maker or issuer, all it has to be is just a piece of paper or a piece of toilet paper, and it says, I, Brandon Joe Williams, unconditionally promise to pay Steve Barty $20 in the future, and then the definition says with or without interest, so you can add in interest if you want, and then it has to be signed, and you've just legally manufactured currency, and once you, as the maker or issuer of that currency, issue that currency, it falls under the definition of legal tender from, I think it's 31 USC 5103. Now at that point, consideration straight from UCC 3. It says that as the maker or issuer of a note, you have to give an consideration. And then UCC 3 also says that once they receive an instrument, they can't dishonor the instrument except under certain conditions. And if they, quote unquote, refuse the instrument, it still discharges the debt.
Well, normally
infinite money, bro. What's the problem? Why do you think I'm so fucking happy?
But that's their infinite money that they killed thousands and millions over the last 10,000 years to acquire. So it's like saying, hey, guys, sorry to join the party a little late. I wasn't born in, Switzerland underground bases with the Barties. I don't know. I was telling Steve, that's one of the secret Illuminati last names. I was like,
Yeah,
Steve,
my last name
Steve,
is,
don't let me find out you're an Illuminati, because those families, they're the ones controlling the money. It's not the Rothschild. I mean,
that can't be me. I don't have any.
It is, but it also isn't. The ones that are actually, you want to know where they're located? They're in Switzerland, if anybody wants to know. Look up Switzerland, find out why it never goes to war, and find out why it has the most underground bunkers in the whole world, and find out why they have Geneva, G40, and everything there, Basel. Find out why all the pesticide manufacturers are there, head of all that stuff is there. That's where they're at.
I mean, there's a lot of banking shit over there.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you guys,
Hitler's there.
I found the original. Man, where is it? I found the original quote from the Emergency Banking Act of 1933, where they're talking about the new money. Let me see. Here it is. So this is a direct quote. I found the original and I read it off the original. This is from the Congressional Record of the House of 1933 when they're talking about the Gold Abrogation Act, and then there's going to be, the promissory note system and that kind of thing. It says here, this is a direct quote: under the new law, the money is issued to the banks in return for government obligations, comma, bills of exchange, comma, drafts, comma, notes, comma, trade acceptances, comma, and bankers' acceptances, period. The money will be worth 100 cents on the dollar, comma, because it is backed by the credit of the nation, period. This is the part where it gets pretty wild. It will represent a mortgage on all the homes and other property of all the people in the nation.
That's the pledging right there. That's
now what we do is we take that information and I do a screen share.
Just so you know, he just said we're all slaves, and they just read it out. When they mortgage your property and all your stuff for the money, that's you they're talking about. That's literally where the straw man, you could see it. That's it.
And then we have here 18 U.S.C. 8, obligation or other security of the United States defined.
I'm blind again.
The term obligation or other security of the United States includes all bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve Bank notes, coupons, United States notes, Treasury notes, gold certificates, silver certificates, fractional notes, certificates of deposit, bills, checks, drafts. Yeah. So what they're trying to say is everything is mommy and daddy's obligation. Yeah. It's not really even your obligation. That's why there is the all caps name. The all caps name is a son or daughter of the government. Yeah. Brandon Joe Williams in all capital letters is the son of the government, and anything issued with his name as the drawee is an obligation or other security of the United States. All I'm doing is performing to send and perform on that obligation or other security of the United States as per the rules of negotiable instruments and exchange. We're not supposed to be paying for anything with Federal Reserve notes at all, really. I mean, we're supposed to just be... An endorsement is a payment, by the way. The definition of the word payment in law means to perform on a duty, obligation, or contract. That bill of exchange, what they're doing is they're saying, here's a security. What do you want us to do with it? And then your payment is the performance. The performance is the endorsement and the tender. That is the payment. So they say, oh, you didn't pay. Of course I did. I endorsed the instrument and tendered it back to the person entitled to enforce the instrument. I paid. It's a payment.
So I want to clarify, because whenever I was first taught similar things, I was like, well, how is this even possible? So I believe the reason that all that's allowed, let me take these dorky things off. Sorry about that. Is whenever they took the gold, right? That was our lawful currency. They had to give a remedy because they could be held liable. So they gave us that HGR 192, and that was supposed to say that all debts are prepaid, right? And that's kind of like what you're saying with the endorsement. And I believe that that's the way it's supposed to be, but it doesn't work like that, because You know, we've lost our knowledge and converted into debt slaves or tax slaves.
It doesn't work because the rules of the Monopoly game are found in UCC Article 3, and everyone's running around doing other shit that's not in UCC Article 3. If I'm playing Monopoly and I write, you know, accepted for deposit under exemption number, social security number, blah, 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 all the stuff that you see in an A for V, none of which, even one fucking word of which is found in the actual rule book, which is called UCC Article 3, and then they scream and they call everyone a child molester. That's what's happening. There is a rule book on how to play the game. There is a rule book.
Molesters, though.
I'm just saying
they really are. We all know that. We've got a little bit of rabbit holes to find that shit out.
I believe it. I believe everyone's innocent until proven guilty. So I don't say stuff like that. I understand what you're saying.
There's a CIA Finders Club. You ever seen that one?
No, and I know we can get into a whole thing, and I know it's not good. I know things aren't good. The whole planet's not good, bro.
We have an anti-child trafficking website, which I'm about to put instructions up on how to catch pedophiles with a fully detailed everything you need to know, like how to catch them A to Z, and not to get in trouble, and not to get caught up, like
how to create
baby shoes and lollipops.
Like how Vitaly's knocking people out. I was like, well, you can go to jail and that's fine, but then you won't be able to continue your work. But we put it out for litigation, how not to get caught and how not to also entice them, but to do it right with honor and to catch a real pedophile. And then you'd have to actually, and that we're going to put all the instructions. You actually have to go to court for it, by the way, but we're going to have all the instructions on our SNR Save the Children website, because that's a part of it. Like
a quick tip on that that you might want to check out, maybe if you're interested, is I would actually contact the Department of State and actually tell them that you actually want to set up an NGO and you want diplomatic passports for your guys. They might actually be interested in getting involved in that, especially with the Trump guys going into office. You might actually want to create a consulate and actually get real Department of State diplomatic passports issued to you guys, because then it's going to protect you. It's going to allow you to do that a lot more effectively if you have diplomatic passports, because a lot of the stuff that people are worried about is that kind of stuff.
Hey guys, listen,
cops and stuff.
I don't want to I feel about cutting us off, but I got to split, man. It's been a little bit.
Steve
3
has
hours.
carrot cake to go shove down his throat.
Well, it was.
I'm not even kidding. I have the picture on my phone.
That picture was a week ago. I destroyed that box last weekend.
Well, we'll jump off. It was good, dude.
When do you think this? Thank you. When do you think this will be up? When do you guys plan on posting this?
Steve, he's the one who does that part. Steve will let. Y'all.
Oh, you mean this? You talk about this video here?
Yeah.
I could probably post it tomorrow if you want. I actually have tomorrow off. So what I'm going to do is tonight, because we're hosting for Thanksgiving, so my wife's been waiting to go grocery shopping for 2 hours. So I'm gonna log off from here, eat quick, go grocery shopping. This will render while I'm gone. When I get back, I could probably post it and schedule it to come out 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. So
whatever you want.
If you stop it now, I still need to upload 1%. If you stop it now,
I still have mine. Yeah. So I'll once I stop recording, we'll just hang back for a minute.
Stop it right now. Because I want to make sure.
Everybody.
Because
can we do an outro or something?
Yeah, let's do an outro. So, Brandon, tell everybody where they can find you.
Here, we're done.
Where can they find you, Brandon?
The greatest website in the world, onestupidfuck.com.
And you'll find King Picklefuck, His Excellency.
All right, Kenny, Gwen, any words of inspiration?
Be the change you want to see. You already know. If you're not doing it, it ain't gonna happen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us and for furthering your knowledge and being the change that you want to see.
I got to figure out what I'm going to insert for a halftime for this 3.5 hour episode.
I know, right?
Do you an ad for one of your services or membership or something? It's perfect.
Yeah, I did just kickstart another OnlyFans. So I could put that in there.
Well, y'all
do you take off your hat in that one?
I take everything off in that one. I put my hat on my feet and my socks in my ears.
Even your dentures?
No, those are permanent. I drilled those in.
Wait till we show you what we're doing next. It's going to blow everybody's mind. I'm excited.
All right, you guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no, Brandon, thank you so much for your time.
You're a funny guy. I like you, dude. Good
I got to be honest. I was quiet most of the show because this was a lot to learn. I know, right? I was so quiet. Kenny even brought it up. He's like, Steve's been really quiet because I was trying to pay attention.
It's like when a kid's being bad and it gets quiet and you're like, this motherfucker being bad out there or what?
No. I'm being fine. I'm also not wearing pants. But we'll catch up next time. So everyone, thank you so much. Have a blessed rest of your week. Happy Thanksgiving for those who celebrate it.
Shakas.
All right, be good. And
welcome to the SNR podcast, where freedom for the mind, body, and soul takes center stage. We're here to break down the system, expose the truth, and inspire real change. From the state national movement to uncovering how the government's just a corporation, to diving deep into the Federal Reserve's hold over the world, we're here to give it to you straight. But it's not just about exposing corruption. We're also bringing you the tools to heal with meditation, breath work, and natural healing practices that help elevate your life. We're loud, we're edgy, and yeah, we're funny as hell. Steve's got jokes, Kenny's got the research, and Ashley's keeping us organized, while Gwen's here to inspire both the young and the wise. This is the SNR Podcast.